2-0. Well,
Maybe they're doing this based on the AFC East.
I don't know.
No, the AFC East. They always look at the AFC first. Anyway, Siri got it right. I mean, clearly, Bills are 2-0. We're the best team in the NFL. I say that sarcastically, of course, because I've seen how this movie starts for the last 15, 20 years, and I know how the movie ends.
It's not
so
how you start, it's how you finish.
Exactly. Although I will say, Josh Allen looked like a franchise quarterback yesterday.
He made some plays.
Oh my God, his accuracy on deep balls yesterday was frightening. He threw two passes, one to Diggs and one to John Brown, and both of them, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, where the hell did this come from? And how the hell weren't you doing this? Why the hell weren't you doing this? Rookie year and second year in the NFL. He was good yesterday. He really was. And the Bills needed that because they missed Milano and they missed Edmonds horribly. So, and then your boys got scared. And a little story on this: as I was doing my picks yesterday, I don't know if anyone gets a feeling or someone literally saying something in your head, "Don't do this." But I was like, oh, this is a slam dunk. Chiefs -9 against the Chargers. Chargers are god awful. I get this voice in my head saying, Chargers are going to make this game interesting, and I didn't listen to it. So there you go.
Well, the Chargers played 11 games decided by 7 or less last season.
Yes, they did.
But they lost 2 of 9. They had a 2-9 record in those 11 games.
Yeah.
But they still they very rarely. So when I saw -9, I said we're not going to cover that spread. When it's always dangerous playing a talented team that you've dominated. And we've won 12. Well, the Chiefs have won 12 of 13 against the Chargers. They know that.
Yeah.
They're talented. They're going to come into that game really fired up. And then what do you do if you're the Chargers, especially their defense? You're going to go in that film room and you're going to say, guys, got the perfect game plan. We executed the perfect game plan, and
you still lost.
We don't have Mahomes. I mean, I don't want to sound like a Chiefs fan.
No,
I'm trying to be. But
there's not many teams that have Mahomes.
The Chargers lost because they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a ridiculous on-the-run, feet leaving the air, 60-yard throw in the air to Tyreek Hill on a dime for a game-tying touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't defend that.
No.
You really can't.
No. Unless you have a defensive lineman that's fast enough to track him down, or a linebacker that's quick enough to get into his grill before he throws the ball. But Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league.
It was a great scheme because the Chargers were getting to him with 4 all day.
Yeah.
So what Andy Reid did in that play, he just sent Mahomes on a rollout. Said that's a way to avoid the pressure. It'll give him time for Tyreek Hill to get down the field. But he makes an unbelievable throw across his body with his feet in the air.
Yeah.
60 yards in the air down the field.
He's just that talented. And the scary thing is, Patrick Mahomes is right now the only quarterback out of the Big 12, in my mind, that has made a incredible impact in the National Football League in quite some time.
Right.
Because the book on Big 12 quarterbacks was, don't get them. Because they're not any good. They don't make the transition from college to the National Football League. Still waiting on Baker Mayfield to do it. And Baker Mayfield looked damn good Thursday night against Cincinnati. Now, I think his strength, and Stefanski's figuring this out, his strength is making sure that Chubb Hunt, because I think we have to smash Chubb and Hunt together, so it's going to be either Hub or Chubb Hunt. Either Chubbant or Hub. Either one. They have to be on point in order for Mayfield to have really good numbers, because if you have a great running attack, then you got to respect the play action pass. So there you go.
And with Big 12 quarterbacks, I think to Mahomes' credit, he went to the perfect spot.
Oh, Texas Tech is. Yeah.
No, I mean, he got drafted by the perfect team.
Oh, of course.
He got drafted by Andy Reid. He got to sit for a year under Alex Smith, who, I know he's the brunt of a lot of jokes because he was Mr. Can't Win the Big Game. But what Alex Smith taught Patrick Mahomes, and I think it's a great lesson for a quarterback like that to learn, is it's okay to protect the ball sometimes. And you see Mahomes sling it, but he never puts the ball in immediate danger.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's a myth of going around from fans saying, well, I mean, you put him anywhere, he would succeed. Hell no. If he was in Cleveland or Buffalo, he or Deshaun Watson, they would have failed miserably.
And you're seeing what Deshaun Watson is going through.
Yeah.
He doesn't have weapons anymore, and now he's struggling.
Absolutely,
he is. I mean,
now it doesn't help when you're going up against one of the elite defenses in all of the National Football League. And by the way, the next Monday night, that is going to be must-see TV when Baltimore plays Kansas City. That could very well be, hopefully it's not, but it could very well be a preview of the AFC Championship game.
Last year was 33-28, but a lot of those Ravens touchdowns were in garbage time. So it's one of those things, like I said, when we played the Chargers, teams that are talented that you've dominated are dangerous. And the Chiefs are 2-0 against the Ravens in the last 2 years. Lamar Jackson hasn't beaten Mahomes, and now they finally get to play him in Baltimore. They're gonna be tough for the Chiefs to beat.
Yeah, unfortunately, they can't play in front of any fans.
Right, but I still feel like there's that home advantage. Like you're more comfortable because it's your stadium and you know where the little points in the grass are that are slippery or whatever, and you don't have to travel. And I feel like there's still a little bit of advantage of being home.
No, I think there is. It's just a lot of that is taken away with the lack of crowd noise. I mean, Arrowhead Stadium is the loudest outdoor stadium in the entire National Football League, with Seattle a very close second, Buffalo a close third.
Seattle cheats. They have that little inverted ceiling that's not an open stadium.
Well, yeah. I mean,
whatever.
But both of them are insanely loud, and that part of the home field advantage is taken away because you can only can your crowd noise to 70 decibels, which really isn't all that much.
Chiefs and Seattle could both get theirs to about 120.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is like a jet engine.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. By the way, did you... if Philadelphia being the reputation of fans that love to boo, they've booed Santa Claus. Carson Wentz did something really bad in that game, and whoever the guy was that was in charge of the sound, kudos to him for having the Philadelphia vibe in the stadium because they booed him. I was just like, looked at this and I was like, really? What the hell? I mean, nobody's in the stands, and the dude hits a 70 decibel boo sound. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's. I'll give Philadelphia props.
And how about CBS had some technical problems with your game?
Yeah,
It made me kind of feel kind of good because on Friday night YSN had some technical issues.
Yes, they did.
We got beat up about it, but then you kind of see that hey, it happens to CBS, who's big dog, in NFL football. So it happens. You just have to roll with it. I'm proud of everyone at YSN for rolling with it and just going with it. But it was just kind of a validation that technical difficulties are just gonna happen no matter what level of quality broadcast you're putting on.
No question about that. And I had some people losing their mind down at the Italian American Club because we had a blank screen.
Right.
And they were accusing the bartender of not paying the pay-per-view bill, and I'm like, no, I mean, guys, you saw
they pulled it.
Yeah, you saw the first half. We would have pulled it if if they didn't pay the bill. We would have pulled it at the beginning.
YSN has a team of technical advisors that make sure that you pay, and they pull the plug if you don't.
Yeah,
because we're that cool.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have guys out on the power tower, like the cable guys cutting your cord.
Yeah, exactly. We have a guy named Johnny No Legs for some reason, and Johnny No Legs has the orders from Carmine that if you don't pay your stuff, he's going to pull the plug, and that's going to be that. So but no, I had a bunch of people that were like, "What the hell's going on? Why can't we see the second half?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Well, you work over there." So I call the computer was fried. Thankfully, they had a backup computer. I'm like, oh, okay, problem solved.
We got it back.
Absolutely, and thankfully they did because Bears are 4-0, and man, there's a lot of teams that are 4-0. Let me first say, job well done for Austin Town Fitch against Warren Harding. That was a great game, hard-fought game.
The stones of T.J. Parker to have an onside kick after you take the lead? Ooh.
Yeah, that's
those are some serious cojones, my friend.
Yeah, that's savage. That is, and that's just it. Look, Fitch has 2 really big games that let's keep the ball rolling. Saturday night, that's a big ass test up at Euclid High School against a team that I don't want to accuse anything or say anything accusing someone of playing favorites, but Cleveland Benedictine was put down to Division II, Region 5, and Massillon was taken out of Division II, Region 5. I'm not saying that anyone's being shown favorites because nobody wanted to run again against Hoban. I'm just saying that Benedictine mysteriously got put into the region.
You're eventually going to have to play Hoban.
Well, of course.
People probably just want that matchup to be a bigger matchup than it already was.
Yeah, I think that it's safe to say that the marketing folks said, if all things are equal and Massillon is playing Hoban for a state title or a state semifinal, that's a hell of a lot better than a regional final.
Right.
So let's put Benedictine down here. And look, Benedictine played Hoban earlier in the year, and they only lost by 7 points. So Fitch has an interesting opportunity because if Fitch can beat Benedictine,
then they can say, "Hey, it's one of those. Hey, we beat the team that beat this team."
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still a little bit of confidence. Like, hey, this team competed against Hoban, and we were held our ground against them. So, if all things are equal, and we step on the field against Hoban, we should be able to compete with them and have opportunities to win.
Absolutely. This is a confidence game. Not that Fitch needs a confidence game because they're 4-0, but this is a huge test. You beat Benedictine. Now all of a sudden, wait a second. Benedictine, they hung with Hoban. We can hang with Hoban.
And it's on the road.
Absolutely. Ooh. That's the other big part of this. You have Steubenville in the last game of the season, but Steubenville comes to Fitch. It's not like you're playing down there with the fire-breathing horse and the officials that tend to call things interesting down there. And no, you have Steubenville up in your place, right. So it's still a test, but it's not as big a test because you're not in hostile territory down in the river. This game against Benedictine, this is a monster test for Fitch, and it wouldn't surprise me if Fitch passed the test with flying colors.
Stay in the high school realm. Props to South Range. Jefferson, they've proven that going down there is not easy. They gave Hubbard a heck of a fight.
Yep.
But Mike Patrone broke the school record for touchdowns, and he did it in the first half.
Nice.
Five passing touchdowns.
There you go.
School record first half. They rolled. And they answered Jefferson's early fight because Jefferson made it back and forth. It was about 21-14. And it looked like, oh man, Jefferson's going to compete again. This is such a tough place to play. And the Raiders came back and they answered every kind of punch that Jefferson threw. And when you're a team like Jefferson, you only have so many punches.
Yeah. No, that was a solid win. Solid win for South Range. Look, South Range is final 2 weeks of the season. Who off the top of your head, who do they have?
I know they finished with Hubbard.
Yeah, there's Struthers this week.
Struthers and Hubbard.
Yeah, Struthers this week, and Struthers is home this week.
Struthers is that's a tough one.
Well, the whole conference is just crazy good. Struthers lost to Niles 35-28.
South Range, you're gonna miss one, and the one they missed was Lakeview, which is the only team in that league that kind of gives you a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but we all kind of have seen Lakeview play, and it's a little bit of a. You still have to respect your opponent, but
sure.
But it's a little bit of a.
Yeah, Lakeview and Jefferson have not been very good this year.
But Jefferson's at least competed. And props to. I think Coach Rankin's doing a great job down there. They haven't won a game in over a year, and they're competing. Man, I felt so bad for them against Hubbard because they blocked the punt. They had 1st and goal at the 5, and they just couldn't cross the finish line. To win. It was
Kudos to Hubbard getting their victory over Girard. I thought that Girard would give him a game. They did.
For a little bit.
But they
how
petered
about,
out at the end.
How about TC Caffey? I mean, he ran all up and down that Girard defense. He's a fine running back down in Hubbard.
Yeah, and stop if you've heard this. Hubbard running backs history. Let's see. George Hill, L.J. Scott. Yeah.
It's another two-letter name, TC. LJ.
Yeah. It's got LJ, you got TC. You know. I mean, I'm looking for an LOL. I think he's in. LOL and WTF are both in 8th grade.
Their offensive line is saying LOL, and the defenses are saying WTF.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, what WTH? I mean, we're trying to keep things a little bit clean here.
Well, F is for
what the frick?
Yeah. F is for front door.
Yeah. Shut the front door. Kudos also to the LeBray Vikings.
Yes,
they got destroyed last week. And they bounced back, and that was a good win over Champion.
That was my team of the week this week was LeBray, because not only did they beat Champion, but they just threw a big log in the top of the MVAC now, because Crestview's 2-1 in the league.
Yep.
LeBray's 2-1 in the league.
Yep.
Champion's still 2-1 in the league.
Yep.
And Champion has that head-to-head tiebreaker over Crestview. So it's like it's
kind of like the dog chasing the tail. LeBray's beaten Brookfield, who's beaten Crestview, who's beaten LeBray, and you're going around and around and around.
Right, it's a big log jam at the top, and it's going to be interesting these last 2 weeks to see which teams kind of prevail.
Well,
Champion's got Brookfield, so
and someone's got to beat Brookfield because they're undefeated in the league. So that's where
Crestview doesn't have them, do they?
Crestview does not have Brookfield. They have Newton Falls. By the way, kudos to Newton Falls for keeping their game very close against Brookfield. Now, truth be told, I believe Brookfield was without their starting quarterback.
That's one of the reasons they got pounded against Garfield.
Yeah,
because they just
they lost him early in that game.
Yeah. So
and by the way, Garrettsville Garfield. Kudos to them. They knocked off Warren JFK, and I didn't think that JFK would lose, but this Garrettsville Garfield team is unbelievably tough.
Garfield's a tough place to go.
Yeah.
I think that game was a coin toss. I think if it was in Warren, probably would have gone JFK's way, but they had to go down to Garrettsville, and that's a tough place to go play.
Yeah, 27-21. Garfield getting a victory over Kennedy, and that's a good game,
right?
What's that?
They're in Region 17.
Oh yeah,
Division 5.
yeah. No, listen. Kirtland is there. South Range is there,
and then Garfield.
And Garfield's there. Crestview's there. You've got a whole kind of that's unbelievable. I mean, Kirtland is head and shoulders above everyone.
They won 58-0 against Grand Valley.
And they're just.
You know what's great about Kirtland too is you know what they're doing and you still can't stop it.
Exactly.
They just line up in that wing tee.
Yep.
Power right to you.
Yep.
Still can't stop it because they're just big and fast.
It was just like when Don Butchie had the stacked eye.
Right.
You knew what was going to happen. 99 times out of 100, he's going to run the ball. Whether you give it to the front guy, the middle guy, or the back guy, they're going to run the ball. And it's a stacked eye formation. And you can load the box up all you want. You're not beating this team because they just had a system that couldn't beat them.
Well, when you play like that, if you're bigger and faster, even if you know what's coming, you can't.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do anything. It's crazy, very crazy. Two more kudos, and then we'll take some phone calls. Kudos to my Bears. We talked about this. They're now 4-0. On the campaign. They knock off Wellsville. Southern beating Columbia. I thought the game was going to be a little bit closer. Rich Wright and the Southern Local Indians, they are after their season opening loss to Leetonia, they've been on a banshee.
One more too. Good friend with YSN, Coach Seidel and Sebring getting their first win of the season. So congrats to them. Yeah,
Sebring getting the victory over Waterloo. Congrats to them. And congrats to Cheney getting their first victory of the season Saturday night over Cardinal Mooney. All right, let's get to the phone lines. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open. 330-886-0813. Tony, you're on Running Point. What's up, brother?
Hey, I was start with high school, and I want to go to the did you watch any NFL games yesterday by any chance?
Oh, gee, what do you think? Is the Pope Catholic? What are you kidding me? Come on.
Okay, let's go to high school real quick. First of all, Massillon coming out of that region down out of Columbus. I think there will be a Massillon team coming out of there, but I think it could be Perry. Perry is playing.
Did they take Perry and Washington out of Region 5 and stick them in the Columbus region?
Yeah, and I trust me, they wanted to get Massillon out of Hoban's region. I really believe they wanted to, but like we talked about last week, I think geography dictated in that case because, like I said, Massillon's below 224. Boardman's on it. That's why they took those two teams.
All right, and look, I mean, Benedictine, you move them out of the Avon region and even things up. So at the end of the day, the OHSAA is all about finding out how many teams are in each division, and then you divide that by 4, and you try to get an even distribution of each region. So that's historically how they've done that.
The one in the ointment here is there was a little, and I don't know why they're doing it. Teams could opt in last Thursday. They can opt out through this Thursday. So apparently there's a penalty if you opt out after Thursday. I don't know what it is. You have till this Thursday to, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But so they're not going to set the brackets till after this week's game.
Yeah, no.
Before week 6 games.
Yeah, exactly. Because what they're going to do is, and they do this with all the other sports. They'll have the coaches pick the teams top to bottom, rank the teams, and then they will add up the numbers and then get the seeding together. That's going to be after next week's games, I believe. Saturday and Sunday is when the coaches are supposed to vote on the each team in the region.
It'll be open for 2 days.
Yes.
They can call them.
Exactly, and then I believe they said October the 1st, the pairings would be announced, and that's before the final game of the regular season. Which, again, that's how they normally do it. If you go to if you go to boys and girls basketball, tournament games are already posted before the regular season is over with.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, to do these compared, and it's never wise to say this team beat this team by this, and this game, this was the final score in this game. But let me give you an example. Hoban, they had to run the state championships they had a bad year last year with injuries at the end of the year, didn't win one last year, but the first game in that series was 2015, their first championship. And they lost one game that year. The game they lost that year was to Benedictine. Benedictine is in their league. It's a rivalry game. There's a lot of familiarity. I watched the Massillon-Benedictine game, and it looked like Benedictine came in tight, and there was a lack of familiarity. I think the lights were a little bright down there for them. So they could not have played a better game against Hoban. No turnovers, minimal penalties. They could not have played a worse game against Massillon.
No,
it was an even game through the end of the fourth quarter. It was an even game, and then they just melted down.
Yeah, if you've got the wheels starting to fall off, and then you get pounded, that's where I sit back and go, okay, there's two ways you look at something. Are you looking at it, they lost by 30 points, therefore they can't compete against a team higher than them? Well, look and see how they lost by 30 points. Did they lose by 30 points by turning the ball over 5 times or multiple times and having those turnovers convert into touchdowns? Then you got to put an asterisk next to that. It's one thing to lose a game when the wheels are falling off. It's another thing to lose a game that badly when you don't have any turnovers. If you don't have any turnovers and you're not giving that opposing offense great field position, then that's a completely different animal.
For local people, I would recommend a game to watch this weekend. It's going to be Fitch-Benedictine.
Oh, there's no two ways about that.
Feel for the playoffs in that region.
No two ways about that. And if Fitch can beat Benedictine, I think that Fitch can go into the postseason very confident that they can make a very deep run in the postseason. They
are loaded with talent. Some of it is still potential. like energy. There's kinetic energy and there's potential energy. And I think some of theirs is still potential energy. They've got a lot of young kids.
No, there's no doubt.
The young kids are very talented.
Yeah, this is a team that's 1 year away from really opening everyone's eyes in the state of Ohio. So I think that what they're doing right now is a prelude to 2021. 2021, Austintown Fitch might be a state championship caliber football team.
It'd be interesting, yeah. If they could fill that quarterback. That quarterback, I don't know if he's graduating or he sticks around, but he's a very talented kid.
He's a junior, yeah. So he'll be back for his senior year. Yeah,
that's good. Hey, and on Kennedy losing to Garfield, Garfield's a good team.
No doubt.
I want to remind everybody also that Kennedy State Championship year in 2016, they didn't run the table. They lost to St. Thomas Aquinas. I think it was the 9th game of the season that year. So.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to reset after those games, and this year it doesn't hurt you. They're still going to be ranked number 1 in that region. It's not really going to hurt them.
No, and they should be ranked number 1 in that region. I mean, it's that's a solid football team, and they're diversified, which separates them from a couple of teams. And Independence up in Cleveland, they have had. I've looked at their schedule. They blew out Cuyahoga Heights, their arch rival, in week number 1. They normally play that game in week 10. They decided to play each other in week number 1, and they've been a beast all year long. Independence. That's southeast of Cleveland in the suburbs.
Yeah, they've had a good run recently. I think Kennedy's run into them a few times in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're a solid team.
Yeah. Hey, a little bit of Buffalo talk.
Sure.
It was fun. It was really fun. And but I think there's some habits developing, and I don't know who to pin them on. It's for the organization to figure out, but it's the same type thing that happened in the Texas game. Now, is it coaching and play calling that puts them in this scenario in the second half, or is it the talent on the field, taking their foot off the gas? But they seem to ebb at the beginning of the second half, and the game kind of runs away from them before Josh Allen is energized or gets the right plays to call again to energize things again.
Well, I made mention on my Twitter account, and I got a ton of Bills fans from all over the country following me, and they tend to agree with what I said. I think that Dable has historically been an offensive coordinator that doesn't really turn anything over to his quarterback until he completely trusts him. And I don't think he completely trusted Josh Allen and hasn't, and for good reason, because for the first 2 years, Allen was not a quarterback worthy of trust. What I saw yesterday and the dimes that he was throwing, especially the long passes, the one pass to Diggs and the other one to John Brown, the one that Brown scored on a touchdown. That ball could not have been placed any better, and my jaw hit the floor when I saw Allen just flick his wrist and the ball going effortlessly 55 yards down the field and right where it was supposed to be. I think that Dable has finally realized, okay, Allen is turning into the franchise quarterback we all thought he was going to be. So now I'm going to loosen the reins. And I think that what we saw in the fourth quarter, Brian Dable is now starting to loosen the reins and let Allen's talent shine through, because he's now starting to.
What happened in the fourth quarter is a new scenario. Remember, he led the league in comeback victories last year.
Yeah, I understand that, but he's also Tony.
Is that Dable saying, throwing everything up in the air and saying, okay, just go do it, and then Josh Allen feels free to go do what he does?
Tony, he's crapped on himself just as many times as he's had fourth quarter comebacks. That's the reason why Dable.
That's absolutely not true.
No, it absolutely is true, Tony. He's been a mediocre quarterback at best the first 2 years in the NFL. He crapped on himself in the postseason game. He absolutely has been that.
I'm not saying that, but you said more times than he had like 5 comebacks last year. He didn't, to use your term, crap on himself at the end of 5 games last year.
He crapped on himself during the course of over 5 games. I don't
want to talk about Josh Allen anymore.
I saw it firsthand against Cleveland.
You're trying to be right on this, and I'll let you be right on this. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I'm not
This
trying to
kid
be
has a
right, Tony. It's
personality.
factual.
This kid has a personality, and if you mismanage his personality, you're good. He's like the kid who wants to really. He's the kid who's very gregarious and wants to please his coach. The coach can abuse that by putting too much in this kid's ear, and the kid gets frozen by trying to please his coach, rather than his coach patting him on the back and saying, "Go out and get it, Josh. I trust you."
Well, they haven't trusted Tony. They haven't trusted him because he isn't trustworthy. His first 2 years, he wasn't trustworthy. Now they're finally figuring out that he is trustworthy.
This wasn't a championship team. It was a building process. Everything got put on that kid. They had a better than average defense that's getting better. They're putting better pieces in place.
Absolutely. No, they didn't put anything on him his rookie year.
Anybody who thought this kid was going to come out of Wyoming after only playing there effectively 1 year and be a franchise quarterback his first year or his second year was delusional. This
Absolutely.
kid was a project from day one.
Agreed.
With unlimited gifts.
Agreed. That's why they weren't giving him the offense. Because he wasn't a franchise quarterback. He was a work in progress. That's why Dable was pulling the reins on him, because he's a work in progress. You can't trust a guy that's a work in progress. Now, this year, and again, 2 games in, but he looks like a franchise quarterback. So now the offensive coordinator is going to say, wait a second, he's starting to look the part. Okay, let's free the reins a little bit. Let's let him do some stuff.
There's going to be a point where you're going to be saying you're going to want to hang Dable. You're going to want to hang Dable.
I've been wanting to hang him
happen.
Tony, I've been wanting to hang Dable since the day they hired him as an offensive coordinator because he sucks at it. Okay, but it's not.
There you go. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Tony. So did Josh Allen in his first 2 years. He was a below-average
quarterback. Allen was great, but you got to accept what you've got, and you've got to work with. It's like teaching a kid to ride a bike. If you follow behind the kid and always have your hand on the seat, the kid's never going to learn the bike.
That's what they're doing.
And you know what? As a parent, it hurts like hell when your kid falls. And he falls again, and he falls again. But you keep picking him up, patting him on the back, putting him on that bike, and the kid will learn to ride the bike.
That's what they're doing.
I guarantee you this kid, what?
That's what they're doing, Tony. That's what they've been doing since day one when Josh Allen became a Buffalo Bill. That's what they've been doing.
No, that's what I'm telling you. Dable has been running behind him like saying, okay, now do this. No, now do this. No, now do this. Putting too much into this kid's head. This kid wants to appease his coach. He's gregarious, and he will overthink things. You cannot allow him to have too much in his head, or he'll overthink it.
Okay.
Just say, go play. Go have fun.
All right. We're gonna completely disagree on that, but that's all right.
Well, from what we won't disagree with is I saw this kid from day one. And by the way, the next 4 games, if they go 2-2, I will be happy as a Bills fan.
Yeah, they got they got the Rams this week. I know they got Kansas City running around there in what is that, a Thursday night game against Kansas City and Buffalo. Yeah, I mean I'll be happy with I'll be happy with 6-2 after 8 games.
One more comment on Josh Allen, and it's nothing between you and me. If this kid would have been put in Cleveland, he would have been run out of town his first year, and the people in Cleveland and the press in Cleveland got to hang that around their necks. They would own that. You've got to be patient with some people, and they're not patient.
Well, they haven't been patient because they have a losing product. They haven't seen anything resembling a postseason team in quite some time. I mean, at least when Allen came onto the scene, the Bills had satisfied their fans somewhat with a playoff appearance, thanks to their defense, and then we'll just go from there. Look, I just saw the schedule. They got the Rams this week. They got Vegas out on the Death Star. They got Tennessee the next week, which is in Nashville, which is a house of horrors. The Music City mugging, and then they got Kansas City on the 15th. So yeah.
Yeah. So we know it's a tough schedule. So if some of these people on this team take a step back, let's not run around with our hair on fire. It's not a dumpster fire yet. It's just 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Let's keep let's keep our eye on the prize. That's the end of the season, not the beginning of the season.
Listen,
let's work
Tony,
our way through, learn from our mistakes.
Tony, I'll guarantee you right now, they're the thought in Buffalo, and I know this for a fact. They think they're an elite team, and they should think that way because they are an elite team.
Even if you're an elite team, you have steps backwards. It's not a straight line to the top.
No, I get it, but there's only one team in these 4 games on this schedule that Buffalo should even be worried about at this point, and that's Kansas City. They should be able. Would you
be happy if they went 2-2 the next game?
I would be pissed. I would be pissed if they're 2-2, looking at the schedule, because they should throttle the Rams on Sunday in Orchard Park. If you want to make an argument that they should split one of the 2 road games, whether it be the Raiders or the Titans, okay. Kansas City, they're at home. I expect to win, so I want to go 3-1.
Well, let me ask you this: if they sweep the East, 6 wins, and they split the rest of their schedule, would you be happy with that record?
11-5. If they sweep the East and they split, I'd rather be 12-4. But if they can go 11-5 by sweeping the East,
I get it. But
no, they're not going to go 16-0. But if they can go 11-5 by sweeping the East, I'd rather see 12-4 at that point.
Okay. And as for the IR, they really people who don't follow the Bills don't know how much Milano is worth to that team. Milano's a special linebacker, and people don't see it who don't. I don't think this team has got a lot of national exposure. Milano's good.
Well, Edmonds is better, and that's the scary
I know. That's
part.
What I'm gonna,
yeah.
And Edmonds is 22 years old. He's an elite.
Exactly.
Would you saying that he's an elite linebacker now?
He already is. Yeah. It's and the people don't understand this, and they need to. Milano and Edmonds, take them out of the lineup. The front 7 is no longer elite. Now it's slightly above average.
So the good news on this is, the new IR is only 3 weeks.
And they're not neither one of them are going to be on the IR, which is good.
Right, because they did not declare them for the IR by 4 o'clock on Saturday. The reason they would have needed to declare them by 4 o'clock Saturday is so they could have claimed the first week that they had already missed as part of the 3 weeks. They didn't do that, so they expect them to be back this week or next week.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have taken advantage of it and put 2 more guys on the roster.
Yeah, and hopefully they're going to be able to play this week, because if they don't, then the chances of them beating the Rams go down significantly, because they need both of them in the lineup against those kind of teams.
Okay, enjoyed the debate. Still Bills fans, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason I ran from Cleveland is because, Baker, just like it was Bernie.
Well,
and then when you have a few hiccups, everybody runs around with their hair on fire. Relax.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why they said Bernie, because he was an elite quarterback from year 2
for a few years
until he blew his elbow out. Thanks, Ernest Biner. Until he blew his elbow out, he was an elite quarterback. And even after his injury, he was still a pretty damn good quarterback. So, yeah.
Well, he got a Super Bowl ring, didn't he?
Well, unfortunately, he outplayed Elway in all 3 of his AFC championship games, and Elway got the better of it because he went up against an overrated defense. So there you go.
Okay. Well, let's keep a positive attitude about the Bills. They can lose a few here. Let's not.
I'm fine with that. I'm just when you sit back and say that Josh Allen has been a great quarterback for a while, that's crazy talk.
I did not say he's been a great quarterback for a while.
Okay.
I said there was a crazy amount of potential there. Be patient; it will develop.
And I think everyone is being patient right now.
That's like you not speaking. I don't know. You probably don't speak Italian, but that's like you not speaking Italian and me starting to speak Italian to you and talking about how stupid you are because you don't understand Italian.
Yeah,
you've never been exposed to it.
Es el stupido.
You have all the potential in the world to learn it.
Es el stupido, Antonio. Es el stupido. Stupido.
Never mind then. See you later.
Gesù Maria, it's a stupido, Tony. Vate meter la capa dentro del bunkhouse. I just told him to go stick his head in the toilet. So.
Poe knows Italian.
A little bit.
We're gonna fit one of those into every show.
Yeah.
Poe knows something.
Yeah, that's. I got some words I can use, but we don't want to use them on
We don't want to offend
this.
our Italian.
No. We don't want the kids that might speak Italian going, ooh. What is Mamma Mia? 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business on this Monday edition of Running Points. Yeah. Where do we go from there? That's,
I don't know. That was a pretty heated debate. I kind of just sat
I
kind of sat back and ate my popcorn on that.
And
one.
he's partially right on some stuff. I mean, I don't know about the whole, feeding too much information. It's the NFL. You're going to get fed all kinds of stuff.
I think what he was trying to say is like they weren't. I don't know anything about Josh Allen's personality. I don't know how he knows something about Josh Allen's personality.
Well, he's got a great he's got great temperament.
All we really know is what the team wants us to know.
Yeah,
is what he says.
Exactly, and he's got great temperament for at least the visual is.
He's trying to say like the Josh Allen really. If you just let him go, he'll do better than if you try to micromanage him.
I get that.
And maybe Tony thinks that the Bills are trying to micromanage him a little bit too much and not letting Josh Allen just beat Josh
But they're
Allen.
micromanaging him because they can't trust him, and there's a reason why they can't trust him. You looked at the 2 years, he's not a trustworthy quarterback. Now, this year...
To Tony's point, maybe those mistakes he made in the last 2 years were because they were trying to micromanage him and not because they just kind of gave him a little bit of lag.
Yeah. I will say this, and this one Dable needs to be on board with if the Bills are going to be this elite team. He has all the weapons in the world. He has one of the best receiving cores that no one's ever heard of. So,
well, now he's got Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So now Dable needs to back up, let Allen. Now that you've seen what Josh Allen can do, by the way, over 400 yards passing. 1 week earlier, Cam Newton was nowhere close to that number, looked nowhere close to Allen's level against the Miami's defense. And again, it's kind of dangerous to go 1 week against another week. But Allen looked the part. So I think Dable needs to back away and say, okay, we're now going to give Allen the offense that we want the Bills to run because now he has the space between his ears ready to go. More importantly, he's got the talent all over the place. Let him rip.
How many times did they have a designed quarterback run this week? Was it less than?
Yes, thank God. Yes, and they're giving Singletary and Moss the opportunities which they need to. Because both of them are pretty solid running backs. So, yeah. It was a fun week. I mean, the Browns won Thursday. Steelers won. Nobody needs therapy this week.
Finally, I mean, the first week I was like, okay, Big Ben looks good, but he didn't really throw the ball down the field that much. Mainly because he didn't have to. It wasn't in the scheme. He threw the ball downfield a little bit more this week, and he looked pretty accurate doing it. So I was a little bit more confident about Big Ben's health this week.
Yeah.
That pick was just that's a product of Big Ben. I think
he's the gambling
he's always
part.
That kind of guy where he's not going to give up on a play, and that was just one of the things that backfired on him.
The gambling part of that.
He doesn't throw the ball away.
There is unfortunately, there is a situation brewing in Pittsburgh. We talked about Benny Snell running for over 100 yards in week number 1. Well, Benny Snell also fumbled the ball once in week number 1. He fumbled the ball again yesterday against Denver, which cost the Steelers a touchdown. Now, selfishly, it cost me an opportunity to be 11-4 instead of 10-5, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna pass on that. We're gonna pass on that. Is it just me, or did that fumble just bring the ball back to Connor's hands and say, you're our guy, and Snell's going to get carries, but he's not going to be the bell cow anymore. James Conner's the guy because Connor doesn't fumble the ball like Benny Snell does.
I think that decision is going to be a game-by-game kind of whatever the flow of the game demands because they're both they have different styles of running, and some defenses are better at defending Connor than they are Benny Snell. So I don't think they immediately lost confidence in Snell because he fumbled on Sunday. But I think, there are going to be times when Connor needs to be the guy that's the guy, and there are going to be times when Snell needs to be the guy that's the guy. So we'll just I think it's going to be a really good 1-2 punch. And if they manage it right and put him in the right situations, then they're going to be good.
No, I agree with that, and I think and our girl Aditi Kinkabwala made an interesting comment where she has now seen every single team in the AFC North, and in her mind right now there are two teams that are separating themselves from the other two teams. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. You have the Bengals, you have the Browns, which we said, all right, Bengals are the fourth place team, Browns are the third place team. Now you have the Ravens and the Steelers. And they'll see each other at some point in time very quickly. The Ravens' defense.
Looks good.
Oh man!
And they added Patrick Queen.
Yeah, they're a really good defense. But this Steelers offense, with Roethlisberger at quarterback, oh my God, it's interesting how you lose. When someone's not there for an extended period of time, it's easy to forget just how important or just how spectacular this person really is. Roethlisberger, the addition of him with this offense, and now, oh, by the way, they still have that solid defense. I'm not so sure the Ravens are the best team in that division.
That broadcast made a good point. Having been back doesn't just help out the offense. The defensive coordinator has a lot of less pressure on him because now the defense doesn't have that pressure to be great because we have, Mason Rudolph quarterbacking, and he's not going to do a lot for us. We have to make sure they hold this team under 20 points every week. Now it's like, okay, we can just go play, and we can trust Big Ben that he'll make plays if we make a mistake. And I think that defense is a lot looser, which is a lot scarier.
Yeah. Now, look, you still want to be able to hold teams to under 20 points, but the pressure's not there.
You can do it loosely. You don't have to. They're not tight anymore.
Exactly.
The pressure to do it.
And I think more importantly, and maybe you'll agree with this. Look, if you give up 24, okay, we don't want to.
24 in the NFL isn't terrible.
Yeah.
It feels like every team in the NFL can score 24 points against any defense just because it's this talented. Minus the cellar dwellers, but 24 in the NFL is not a terrible number.
Yeah, as long as your offense can put up some really good numbers, then that's not a big deal. Well, I look forward to Steelers Ravens. Oh my God, this just.
Because the Steelers are a really good defense, but they still gave up 21 points. It was 26-21.
Yeah, it was.
So it's really hard to consistently keep NFL teams below 20.
No, it is. And part of that is your offense cannot turn a ball over deep in your own territory because you're essentially giving away points that way.
Right.
So it's a defense can sit back and say, well, we gave up 24 points, but our offense put us in a really bad position 2 times where they fumbled or got an interception, and their drive, the offense drive, started in our 20-yard line. Well, of course you're going to give up points. Unless you get another turnover, you're going to be giving up points. Whether it be a field goal, touchdown, you're going to be giving up points. So there you go. All right, MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open 330-886-0813. Take a time out. Dana Balish coming up. Actually, you know what? We're going to hang on this.
Hang on, Sloopy. We're going to hang on.
Yeah. Well, by the way,
here it
we'll
comes.
be hearing that
pretty soon. Well, not pretty soon. It's actually still about a month away.
October 24th? Is that 23rd, 24th? Is that when we're?
I think it starts on the 24th. I think most of the teams will play on the 26th.
Did you happen to see Nebraska's Big Ten schedule?
They start with. That's one of those. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
They were one of the teams that were really gung ho about playing. And
yeah.
Like, uh-oh.
I wonder if that was. It's
the 24th.
Kind of.
24th.
Kind of, sort of, the Big Ten's way of saying.
Oh, you're gonna cause a stink.
You want to cause a stink here? Okay, let's
stink bug.
Yeah, let's give you some problems here. Interesting. 9-game schedule, and I love the way.
10 for the 2 that make it to the championship.
Well, actually, 9 for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen what they're planning
No,
on doing?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, and I hope that this becomes something for everyone to do. You'll have your regular season, the 24th, the 31st, the 4 weeks in November, so that's 6. The 5th and the 12th, 7 and 8, and then you'll have the championship game on the 19th. What they're also going to be doing is the second place team from the East plays the second place team from the West. Third place play, fourth place play, fifth place play, sixth place play, seventh place play. So everybody's getting an extra game.
Okay.
See, I like that idea.
It makes, especially in this world, it makes sense.
And I think if you go forward, you want to have a 13th game where on conference championship week everyone is playing the top team versus top team.
You don't need that in a normal season necessarily because the teams that are in the last place. I mean, why are they playing another game? I mean, they're 2 and 10. I mean,
yeah,
2 and 10.
No, I get that.
But in this season, it absolutely makes abundant sense to have everyone just get an extra game because they're already a game behind.
Sure.
So
and I'm wondering the 13th game.
So
maybe
now, like,
if
if Ohio State goes undefeated 9-0, that might be a little bit more comparable to a 10-0 than 8-0 and 9-0.
Sure.
So,
No, I agreed with that. I'm just thinking long term if they were to do this for game number 13, and let's say a 6-6 team wins and they go 7-6,
right.
They're more aptable to go to a better bowl game or go to a bowl game. I mean, just because you win 6 games doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be slotted into a bowl game.
In this day and age, it does usually because there are so many bowls. There are times when a 5-7 team gets in because there just aren't enough teams to put in all the bowls that they haven't committed to. There's like 44 bowls last year. So
I like Brian Driscoll's idea with the bowl games, where you incorporate all of the bowl games with the playoffs and separate the two. You play all of your bowl games, the non-main event bowl games. You play them all in December.
So he just wants that Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl to have an extra kind of incentive to win.
Yeah, the large bowl games where you would have the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl. 2 of them are hosting the semifinals. One's hosting the national championship,
and one
gets pushed to the side where you're the last bowl game prior to the main event. Where it's New Year's Day
Bowl.
You have the semifinals, and then 1 week later you have the national championship game. I like that idea because you can incorporate all of these bowls to, okay, how did you do in your bowl game? Oh, have you lost? Okay, you're probably going to get knocked out of a playoff spot because everyone goes to a bowl game, and then you go to, all right, national semifinals. Here we are. National championship game. Here we are. Maybe you do that the second week of January, and you let the New Year's Day bowl games play, and then you start the playoffs January the 8th. I don't know. I mean, that's
the one thing I like about that is that it would give a really in-your-face opportunity to decide which team is better.
Yeah.
On because you're like, oh, is like a couple years ago, is Penn State better than Ohio State because Penn State beat Ohio State, but Ohio State won the Big Ten because Penn State lost to whatever it was. That whole conundrum could have been solved if you just had one more game right before the playoffs to say which team's better right now.
Yeah.
Against quality opponents.
No, I agree with that. By the way, did you happen to see Ohio State at Happy Valley on Halloween?
Right.
Now,
that's when you played the Halloween theme song.
But do you have a whiteout on Halloween? That color doesn't.
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah,
it's
but
ghosts.
that color's.
Ghosts.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. You well played. Well played. Because white doesn't really. I was thinking in my mind, white doesn't really scare people, and ghosts.
It doesn't Happy Valley.
Okay. White out with ghosts. And then you play the Halloween music and the other Third down, you have the psycho music where Anthony Perkins is knifing the crap out of the
And then
out of the
every
woman.
time Ohio State scores, their band better play Ghostbusters.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Instead of the Buckeyes fight song, you're playing Ghostbusters. Yeah. I don't know about that one.
Not like but like every time there's a good play, instead of playing like whatever, like a lot of bands play like stuff from Les Mis or whatever. But
yeah,
play Ghostbusters. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then if Penn State's band does this,
right,
then you got 100,000 people screaming Ghostbusters.
Right.
You know, you stop playing and then you have the fans yell Ghostbusters.
Right.
That would be epic. And that would be pretty freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ballish is coming up in just a bit. 330-886-0813.
Someone better go dressed as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's all I'm saying. If they do that.
There you go. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, too. 330-886-0813. Ballish coming up in a bit. Stick around. More to come.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant. GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
boy is recovering from a broken.
Around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. It's Monday. It's 1 o'clock. It's time to bring in 21 Sports Director Dana Ballish. Dana, how's everything going today?
Doing well, Ron, yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Next Monday, we won't have Dana on because you're going to be the featured speaker over at Curbstone.
Yeah, that group's done a great job, and certainly always look forward to going over to that run.
Yeah, good. It's a really, really good group of guys, and that's their banquets every single year. Their banquets are amazing. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have the 2020 Hall of Fame banquets, but we'll get 2 for the price of 1 next spring with the 2021 Hall of Fame banquet.
Absolutely, in May, and I think everything is ready to go. Hopefully people will be allowed.
Yeah, no doubt. Are you surprised? Speaking of the pandemic, are you surprised at how smooth, for the most part, everything has gone through the first 4 weeks of the high school football season?
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and that was brought up, and I even said I'm shocked that they're still playing football at this time, because I thought I thought some things would happen, and they haven't, and that's a credit to the administration, the coaches, the athletic directors, and everyone who's kind of had a say in this. I mean, they've been able to keep things in check, and I think there's a great chance that football can run the table now, Ron, and play everything through the state championship in mid-November.
And I'm sure you've talked to some athletic directors over the last couple of weeks. What kind of things have you been told that are things that they've kind of struggled with, or things that they've had to kind of adjust on the fly through the 4 weeks, or maybe things that they've had to improve from week 1 to week 4? What are some things that they've been going through as the season progresses, trying to keep this rolling and keep protocol up to code?
Well, I think with 4 weeks in the book, everyone's had more than one home game now, and I think, the first week you kind of learn from it. The second game you kind of, try to make improvements. So I think everyone's on the same page when it comes to that. I think, the ticket distribution and the fans know. I think, everyone kind of knows what's going on. It's the same for every school, so to speak. So I think that really helps out because you're not going to one school and then the following week things change a little bit. I think for the most part everyone's kind of on the same page. And again, I credit the administration, the schools, and everyone who has really put their front foot forward and has made this happen. And most importantly, makes it happen for the kids, and the band members when there's home games and things like that. So I think it's everyone has done a great job with this.
45 teams in the 3-county area of Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana counties. Only 4 teams in the 3-county area decided to opt out for the postseason. Were you anticipating more than 4 teams, or does this number sound about right, Dana?
Well, I think, Ron, schools still have an opportunity to opt out. They could opt out at any time. I mean, there will be a penalty that comes with that. But I think when the brackets come out and you see who you're matched up against, I think some teams will opt out. I think some teams will pay that penalty, and I think it's $100. I may be wrong on that, but I think when you see who you're playing and then the possibility of a next game, and deep down you got no shot. What's it come down to? Does it come down to embarrassing the kids, have the kids get embarrassed, or does it say, okay, you know what, we're going to be men about this, we're going to opt out, we're going to try to play another game and go from there. So, Ron, I think some teams will opt out once the brackets are released in a couple of weeks. But I don't think many teams will opt out now. I mean, the regions came out Friday. They were adjusted a little bit over the weekend. There weren't many changes. As a matter of fact, there were no changes locally. You look at some of the teams that are in and some teams that are struggling. They're going to try to do it geographically, but sometimes that always doesn't work. So I think at this point you just kind of got to wait and see. And, when they come out in a couple of weeks, then you make some determinations.
For the 4 teams that have, I mean, I'm sure you've talked to their coaches a little bit since then. What has been like the sentiment of the reasons why they decided to, and what kind of conversations do you think they had with their team making that decision?
Well, I just think it's better games and it's better competition. Again, the unknown is who you are going to play. I mean, let's take a look at the 4 teams. I mean, Sebring and East Palestine and Shocker and Matthews. Matthews is sitting at 3-1, but you're in Division 7. You could get hooked up with a pretty good team, and you have no chance to win the game. So I think this gives kids an opportunity to go out and play. Matthews and Shocker are going to play on Thursday, October 8th, so it's going to probably be the only game going on, so it will get lots of attention. And I think that's important for the kids. I think coaches understand it. The thing that I didn't like is, the Ohio High School Athletic Association kind of put this burden on coaches. And, how could you go into your locker room or whatever and address your team and say, okay, guys, we're not going to go to the playoffs, but we expect you to give us, a solid 3 weeks. I mean, you're talking about 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids, and I think that's a hard message to convey when you say you're not good enough to go to play at this level, but we still want you to play these 3 or 4 last regular season games. And I think that's something that the Ohio High School Athletic Association really didn't think about. I mean, there's challenges, and everyone faces challenges each day, and in normal life. But I think that was a tough decision for these schools to make, and they did it out of the welfare of their kids. And certainly, you could look at some teams, who are really, really struggling, and they're in the playoffs, and they don't have a shot. And I just, would hope that, and again, there's pressure from the community. Sebring, I'll give Sebring credit. I mean, Sebring's never been to the postseason, and they didn't want it handed to them. I mean, they wanted to earn their way in, and I have my hats off to them. I mean, they decided, hey, you know what, right now we don't think we can compete in the playoffs, but we're going to schedule some other games, and, I think they wanted to earn that. So, everyone's different when they come to this decision, but I didn't like the onus being put on the coaches to make that decision. I mean, I think you could have went, to the Harbin system and says, okay, we're going to take 20 teams or 24 teams and go from there. But, you got 400 or you got 644 schools in the playoffs. Come on.
Dana, here's the one issue that I'm going to be curious how the OHSAA does this. You're looking at 5 weeks of regional play, and then the state semifinals and the state championship game encompass weeks 6 and 7. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. They have to go to a field of 16 by the end of the first postseason week in order to fulfill the 5 weeks regional play, because 16-8 is 1 week, 8-4 is 1 week, 4-2 is 1 week, championship game is a 4th week. So you have to go from 20 whatever teams that are going to be in the postseason to 16. To me, that's going to be a challenge to try to figure out who gets a free pass, how many games you're going to have to play, and we just got to find a way to get to 16 teams for week number 2 of the postseason. That to me is going to be a ridiculous challenge for the OHSAA.
Well, and again, I think they'll be in consultation with the Ohio Football Coaches Association. And it's not like basketball where you could play 2 games in a week. You got to play 1 game in a week. And Ron, I think they're probably a little shocked that these many teams have gotten in, because again, you basically got 100 teams in each division, with the exception of Division I, which has 66. So, go through it. I mean, our team's going to opt out. That would help the cause a little bit. How can you finish this tournament in 7 weeks? And I think that's a valid point, and it's something that hasn't been thought of already. So I think there's a lot that has to be said and a lot that has to be taken into consideration. And my guess would be is that they are just overwhelmed probably with the number of teams that opted in. Now, with that being said, every team that opts in, there's a playoff game, and that means revenue goes to the Ohio High School Athletic Association. So on one hand, they're probably smiling cheek to cheek that, they're going to see some revenue come in, but on the other side, a valid point taken, how are they going to get through 100 teams in 7 weeks?
And to talk about some football that happened this week, who were maybe a handful of teams that really impressed you in week 4 of football?
Well, I think Canfield continues to be the team that impresses me. I mean, this is a team that went down to Dover. They got down 3-0, then went up 31-7, and then went 31-10. I talked to Coach Pavlansky, during the summer months, and again, it was a little different year. And he told me, look, we couldn't score against ourselves. So they've gotten better, and he admitted that. He says, yeah, we have gotten better. Their sophomore quarterback, Brock Lowry, has stepped to the plate in more ways than one. They have the full package. But as Mark Porter told me, they got Chardon sitting in that region, and Chardon may be one of the best teams in the state. So, they surprised me. I think Austintown Fitch, again, the ball is bouncing their way a little bit. And again, I predicted Fitch to go 2-4. They're 4-0, but they're 2 or 3 plays away from being 2-2, and I think Coach Parker would admit that with getting the ball bouncing their way against Cheney, and then it happening for a second week, and battling from behind to beat Warren Harding. Springfield, I thought they would kind of dominate what they're doing, and they're certainly doing that. In Division III, Hubbard is 4-0. Laid an egg against Jefferson, still won the game, then came out solid. and again, Lakeview isn't very good, but I think, they're getting better week in and week out. Will be tested against Poland, who, has won 3 in a row. South Range, that it just continues down there of what they're doing. But in JFK, I think JFK ran into a pretty good Garrettsville Garfield team. They go on the road to Gilmore Academy this week to play a Saturday afternoon game. So there's a handful of teams that I think have been impressive so far. And again, you're just going to get to that cusp of 6 games, and then you play for real, so to speak, in the playoffs.
Dan, going back into the postseason, Anthony and I had this conversation off the air during our first commercial. Seems to me that with the officials and the OHSAA taking the best officials, not the best officiating crew, there's not going to be a whole lot of crews that are going to be available in the postseason, with the postseason being played on Friday and Saturday. So these non-postseason games, do you anticipate some of the schools playing these games on a Thursday to have the spotlight to themselves?
Well, Matthews and Sebring are going to do that. And Ron, I'm not sure on this, but I think the officiating crews, just because of the amount of games they're going to have this year, to my understanding, may remain the same. So you won't have crews being broken up. Now, I have not confirmed that, but I've heard some jostling with that the crews will remain the same for the postseason games. And if you have you're going to have enough officials to do games because you have a full slate of games. But I think you have to be creative in this a little bit. I mean, I kind of joked around with some athletic directors and said, hey, if you're going to opt out, play your games on a Wednesday. Play Tuesday night. Play Wednesday night. Because you have to be a little bit different. You have to be creative with this, from a coverage standpoint, because, from our aspect, I mean, the playoff game, is more important than a regular season game. So you have to be creative a little bit with this, and that's why I give Matthews and Sebring some credit, because they're going to play Thursday, October the 8th.
So I agree with that from a media standpoint, and you guys do a phenomenal job with your football highlights, and from a media standpoint, newspapers and the YSN television coverage. Look, when the playoffs start Friday and Saturday, those are the teams that are going to get all the attention. So if you're a team that is either out of the playoffs or have decided not to play in the playoffs, play your games any other day except Friday and Saturday. Play your games on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, because I think that you're going to be able, by thinking outside the box, you're going to be able to have as much coverage for your team as humanly possible. Because, well, I mean, let's face it, if you got Sebring taking on Chalker on a Wednesday night, or two teams that were in the playoffs and got bounced in week number 7, the first round of the postseason, and they play each other on a Tuesday night, they're going to get a lot more attention because they're not playing up against the playoff games.
Well, Ron, the one thing that I talked to several coaches, and this is kind of a difference of opinion now, because some coaches have told me, we're going to the playoffs, and if we get beat week 1, we're done. We're done. That's the way we're going to do things. Other coaches have told me we're going to the playoffs. If we get beat week 1, we may try to find a game for the remaining weeks. And I have to tend with it a little bit. I think if you go to the playoffs, I don't know, then you get beat. And again, I think it becomes a safety factor a little bit, because let's say you get beat late in the playoffs and you got a next game. I mean, there could be some injuries and stuff of some cheap shots. And game officials have told me that, when games are meaningless, you'll have more cheap shots or controversial hits or anything like that more than you will when a game means something. So I think that has to be looked at a little bit. Not saying any team's going to do that, but when you have game officials tell you that that's a possibility and they've seen it, let's say in week 10 in a normal year, two teams are playing and there's nothing to play for. I mean, he says it does get a little chippy because these players know it's their last game, and if they're thrown out, they're thrown out. They don't got to worry about it. So I think, I like the idea of what coaches have told me, my own personal opinion. Hey, look, if we go to the playoffs and get beat, our season's done.
To your point, do you think there will be teams that kind of stay on the fence with that, whether there will be a threshold like, hey, if we make it this far in the playoffs, we're done. But if we get beat in first or second round, we'll try to go find one more game for these seniors. Do you think there's like a threshold with some of these teams where they'll go find another game if they get beat early, but if they make it far enough, they won't go find another game?
Well, I think what it comes down to is personal choice. I think coaches know their teams better than anybody. If they feel that their team can play another game, then certainly they'll do that. But, I don't know how. I would think, when it comes to football, I would think you would have to schedule these games a week in advance. And some teams have already done that. Some schools have said, look, if we get beat in week 1 of the postseason, we're coming back and we got this team scheduled, and we got this team scheduled for, week 8 or week 9 or whatever it is. So I think some of those conversations have already taken place, but I think my personal idea would be is, look, you go to the playoffs and you're done. You lose, then your season should be done. But, the state's given these kids an opportunity to play as many as 10 games, and certainly you don't have to agree with it, but I respect that decision.
Dan, always a pleasure, sir. Look forward to catching up with you another time.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
You got it. 21 Sports Director Dan Abolish joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. He brought up something really interesting, and I would love to hear an official's interpretation on that, because there is a lot of credence to the fact. Okay, we're out of the playoffs. We get to play another game. Wow. We get to do anything that we want to, because, well, if we get thrown out of a game, who the hell cares? We're not going to be playing another game anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I really hope that at least the teams in this area wouldn't have anyone that thinks that way. I think the mutual respect around the area between these teams is strong enough to go just play a clean football game because you want to give your players one more game. But there's definitely a possibility that could happen because, like you said, there are no really strong consequences if something happens where you get thrown out of a game and there's no more playoffs and there's nothing that OHSAA can do about it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a senior.
Yeah, and
like if you're a junior and you do that, they can say, hey, you're sitting out the first 2 games of next season or whatever. Like if a coach gets thrown out of the tournament game
sure.
for basketball, he has to sit out the first 2 games of the next season.
Yeah.
So if you're a junior or sophomore, they could really hit you if you do something silly. But if you're a senior, it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to do what I want because you can't touch me now.
Yeah.
Kind of like doing something on graduation. Like, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I hope that no one would do that, especially in this area, which is where we cover, where we're proud to cover all those teams. And we've covered all these teams for so long. And I think there's a mutual respect in this area between the football teams that they would, at least the coaches would really try their best to make sure their kids don't do that. But, it's definitely in there in the back of their head.
The other part, and maybe this is a little bit selfish, but the other part is pretty valid as well. Let's say that you have a team that gets bounced in the playoffs, or if you have a team that doesn't even decide they want to go to the playoffs. You've opted out because of the opponent. But you have a player or two that could very well have the ability to play on a Saturday, whether it be Division III, Division II, 1AA, FCS, or major Division I football, and you play a meaningless game and you blow your knee out that prevents you from, or has a catastrophe injury that prevents you from getting that opportunity to play college ball. Selfishly, to end a career or have a career-ending injury in a meaningless game, selfishly, that would not be a cool thing.
I'm not someone that buys into avoiding something just because something bad could happen.
Neither am I.
I mean, that senior could have got hurt in your first playoff game, or it could have gotten hurt in the first week of the season, or it could have gotten hurt in a scrimmage that's meaningless. I mean, if a bad thing's going to happen to you, it's going to happen to you. I mean, I think that conversation with whether we play another game if we lose in the playoffs has to be with the seniors, because those are the kids, whether they want to play on Saturday or not. If you can give them an opportunity to strap up one more time, just one more time, go out there on the field and fight with their brothers one more time, and they want that, then I think you got to give it to them, because they've put their blood, sweat, and tears into that program. And if they say, Coach, maybe as someone that gets upset in week 1, and they just feel like they want to end their career on a positive note, Coach, get us a game. Let us go out on a good note. Don't let us end our career with a bad taste in our mouth. How can you tell your seniors no to that?
Yeah, I agree with that. By the way, the tractor sound, courtesy of John Deere. So there you go. 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open. Lawnmower sound provided by John Deere. Back after this, let's take some phone calls and let's continue to press on this Lawnmower Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now. For years to come, so call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
It's a Monday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. Anthony in his Chiefs gear. He's having a good old time. Yeah, I like the fact that you have the hat and the matching shirt.
It's a swag Monday, you know.
All right.
Victory Monday.
Well, see, I forgot to wear my Bills hoodie. Yeah, which it doesn't go with the Latonia blue.
You're right. It's
because
a blue.
because they got Dodger blue, Lisbon blue, and that doesn't go well with Latonia blue.
No. But I will say Lisbon's unis look sharp.
Oh man,
I love seeing them on YSL.
Yeah, they have some nice unis.
They got the nice shiny blue helmets.
Yeah,
they look
wrong
sharp.
shade of blue, but they are a sharp uniform. Let's go to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
Well, fellas, how y'all doing today?
I'm good. Yourself?
Well, I got to deep dig way back on you and say a couple things. Now, first of all, I got to tell you, stop it. And the second thing I got to say is,
well, hang on a second. Why are you telling me to stop it? And by the way, you got to do it the way I normally say. Stop.
There you go. Stop. and I can't say it as good as you, but what the Sam Hill is going on around here? You said better than me, right?
What in the words of who was the guy in the Blazing Saddles? What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Yeah.
Now, first of all, I got to tell you guys are totally missing the point, and you know, you guys got to stop it. It's more than just winning and losing the game. You have to understand what it's like to put that jersey on. Not only are you playing the game, you are representing your school, you are representing your community, and you are representing your family. So that will stop you from doing something stupid, even before the coaches even come to you. When you put that jersey on, you become a part of a family of people who played 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And you're not going to disrespect that. I don't care who you playing.
I got
it
news.
Don't happen that way.
Emmanuel, I got news for you. The kids playing today don't give a rat's ass about kids 30 years ago.
Some of them do, but in a perfect world, Emmanuel, you're right. But these are 15, 16-year-old kids. Sometimes they're going to do something stupid, and like we said before, hopefully in this area in YSN's coverage, there's no teams that are gonna pull that kind of stuff.
It won't be with malice intent. You've had some great coaches. You've had some great coaches on your shows. Great coaches, and there's still great coaches out there. They're not going to have that.
No.
I think that we're not giving the coaches and the players. Now, sure, there's going to be outliers, but the absolute majority, you're not going to see that. Not around here, you're not.
Listen, I agree. The absolute majority would never do that, and that's why you would never have late flags or late hit after late hit after late hit. But there would be, unfortunately, especially if a game is out of hand, there would be some people that would have the mentality of, okay, we're losing big, so this game doesn't mean anything, and I'm really wanting to rip someone's leg off the bone, so let's do it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you point blank, right? And then I'll move on to the Harding-Fitch game. I can't speak of anybody else, but I'm gonna tell you, Coach Arnold, he ain't having that.
Well, I don't think that any coach would want that. Okay. I think there's 45 teams in a 3-county area, and what do we have? Over 50 teams that we cover. There's not one coach that has that mentality, and if there is, that person needs to be removed from their job immediately.
Well, I had an interesting weekend this weekend. Friday night, I went over there to Fitch, right? And I seen something that I haven't seen since, I guess, the World Series when the Indians played the Atlanta Braves, where both teams had a legitimate gripe about the officiating.
Okay.
I think Fitch had a legitimate gripe, and so did we. And between that and the commercials and all the other things, a great football game broke out. I think that was a classic this weekend.
Well,
Austintown Fitch, they wouldn't give up. We battled with them. They won the game. We didn't lose the game to them. They won the game. They were the better team that night. And so I'm not blaming anybody because the officiate was terrible both ways. But it was a great game.
Well, look, hopefully you guys get a second opportunity at some point in the postseason. I think that would be a great game.
Well, I don't know if we want to play them again. them boys, they had lost 4 out of 5, and that last, and I tell you, I almost had a tear in my eye, and it's a shame, right? Because we lost the game. When they recovered that last onside kick, I know Coach Anarella was smiling. I mean, I just told everybody we see your Malakoff next year. That's a great rivalry, man. But what I want to say, Saturday night I went to Malakoff. Saturday night, they had a band night. And, man, it was one of the best shows I've seen, high school shows, in a long time. And then I realized something. When you look at the pros, it's okay not to have a lot of people in the stands or anything like that, and maybe in college. But in high school, and your last guest touched on it, the pageantry, the show that the team put on, it was basically for the band put on for the seniors. The seniors had to come out and walk across the field. But after it was all said and done, they went up in the stands, did the social distancing, and they started playing the fight songs and things like that and getting us fired up. I realized Warren football is also part of the doggone band and the fans of the community. It's like that in Boardman because they got a great band. It's like that in Hubbard because they have a great band. It's like that in Lakeview. Lakeview has a great band. Howland, great. There's some great bands out here, and I miss that part of because I remember I told you about last year when we played Massillon with the bands and the pageantry. The only thing was missing was airplanes flying over top, and we need to get I hate to say it, man. We need to get that back into because the kids need that. What do you think?
Emmanuel, let me ask you, was it 15% capacity on band night as well?
I'm going to be honest with you. It was just as many people there at band night as it was for a football game.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. Listen, and I echo everything that you just said. There is one of the reasons why I love Northeastern Ohio and I love the pageantry of high school sports. It's not just about the football, because if this was just about the football, I got news for everyone, and I don't want to put a wet blanket over anybody. Florida's better, Texas is better, California's better, Illinois is better, Tennessee is better, Alabama's better, Georgia's better, and I can name about 5 other states that have better football than Ohio. What separates Northeastern Ohio from everyone else, I've lived in Florida. I have yet to see and was never going to see the pageantry of high school football anywhere resembling what it's like in Northeastern Ohio. Same in Texas, same in California, same in Tennessee, same in Illinois, and all the states that I've ever lived in or have traveled through to watch high school football. Nobody, when you take the whole package together, and the band is a big part of the package, the bands, the cheerleading, the ambiance, the tailgating, forget about the game. The game is the cherry on top of a perfect Sunday. Northeastern Ohio is, without question, the best area to watch high school football, with all of the pageantry, with the bands, with the cheerleading, and everything that I just mentioned. Nobody comes remotely close to the product of the complete package of high school football than Northeastern Ohio. Not even close.
You know, Ronnie, I couldn't have said that better. Now let's move over to my Pittsburgh Steelers. From what I've seen, Ben is still a little bit rusty.
That's a scary. Now, that's a scary thought because he's having a pretty nice run.
Yeah, but he's still not. He's still like a little bit off on that speedball. You know, but we'll take it. A win's a win. Snell has to learn to hold on to that ball. He can't keep fumbling like that.
Yeah, I think what is become obvious after that second fumble, I think you're now starting to see a shift where Connor is going to be the guy that's going to be trusted upon until Snell gets that fumbleitis out of his system.
Well, I don't. Well, we talked about this when they drafted Connors, right? And everything you said about him, you know, his on-field, off-the-field, his battles through life, the good guy he was, all that stuff is great. But I told you then, and I'm still going to stick by it, I don't think he can stay healthy.
We'll find out.
And the second thing is, right, what I did like about the Steelers, right, I love their defense. And I can't understand, Denver must have forgot that they call us Blitzburg.
Yeah. There's the names might have changed, but the package is still the same, and it's a damn good package. And I will say what I said last year when the Pittsburgh Steelers got Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Miami Dolphins. Very uncharacteristic of the Steelers to give up a first-round draft pick for anybody. When they got Minkah Fitzpatrick, they got their defense back to where it should be.
And it also freed up Harden.
Yep. Agreed.
And he's playing better than he ever. Go ahead, Tony. What were you going to say?
No, I said that's true. It's freed up Harden. They're playing looser because Big Ben's back there, so they're not as tight to try to go make big plays. I think that's pretty obvious comparing last year's defense to this year. They're just playing with a little bit more looseness to their play.
Well, Tony, is Anthony or Tony? What do you want to be called?
Either one's fine, man. I'm not.
Well,
I'm not
I say the same thing. Just don't call me late when the food's gone. I might get mad.
That's it.
But you think Castro's healthy? I don't know. What do you think?
Do I think who's healthy?
DeCastro.
Healthy, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not.
And so, other than that, I liked the way they looked, and that was a great game last night. But that was some strange play calling at the end for New England. What do you think about that?
Well, look, I mean, the only way they were going to score was get the ball in Cam's hands and let him do his thing, and I think Seattle figured it out, and that's why Seattle was able to stop him short of the goal line, and there you go. But I got news for, and I will pound this to my fellow Bills fans. I got news for you. New England's not going anywhere. This is a very, very good football team, and Buffalo is not going to be given this division. They're better than the Jets. They're better than the Fish. New England is not going to give this division up without a fight, and I think that that's a fight that Buffalo's going to have to fight in order to win the division.
Well, the last thing, then I'll let you guys go. What do you think about Mr. Wilson out there in Seattle? Is he ever going to get the credit that he's due? And is he Hall of Famer?
No,
he's MVP this year so far.
I think that how he hasn't won an MVP is mind blowing to me.
He's never got a vote for it.
Yeah, I don't understand how someone can be so underrated and underappreciated.
And at the same time, like, he's not underrated in his peers' eyes, because in that NFL Top 100 they came out, which is voted on by the players, he was put number 3 ahead of Patrick Mahomes. His peers get it, and it's just the other people that kind of don't get it.
And here's the thing that bothers me. Okay, in baseball, it's a daily game, and the West Coast teams normally play games late at night, and you're not able to see the games. There's no argument in that regard for football. It's a one-day-a-week thing. If you're going to see the Seahawks play, you're going to watch them play at 4 o'clock when they're at home. If they come to the East, then you're going to be watching them play at 1 o'clock. I mean, it's not like you have a bad excuse not to see the Seattle Seahawks unless you don't have the Sunday ticket or unless you don't have access to a West Coast game at 4 o'clock. But Seattle's on TV around here more often than not. So I don't understand how anybody can look at Russell Wilson and not see elite greatness, and how this guy has not won an MVP is mind-numbing how this guy has been disrespected.
Could it be the Bill Buckley the Jackie Smith syndrome, like Buckner let the ball go between his legs. Smith dropped the ball, and he threw that interception on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl. Is that what we all remember?
I don't know. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl. I mean, he beat the hell out of Peyton Manning and won a Super Bowl. He's outplayed just about everyone when he's on the field. He outplays everybody. I don't get it. And I think maybe one of the reasons why is because he isn't used properly, and that's on Pete Carroll. I don't think he's used very properly. I don't think he gets as many pass opportunities in Seattle because Pete Carroll has this mindset of 3 yards in a cloud of dust or a cloud of black pebbles since they're playing on the turf.
Well, he wins. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, he does. And he's great at what he does. I don't understand how anybody can look at this guy and not see that he's an elite quarterback in this league.
Well, you got haters everywhere. Thanks for taking my call, my brother, and I'll talk to y'all later, okay?
Appreciate it. I don't get that. It's like I said, it's not Major League Baseball. Like, I can see why people don't appreciate Mike Trout because most of his games start at 10:15 at night, and you may not see Mike Trout play. The NFL's a weekly game on a Sunday, and if you're able to see a game at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock, there's no excuse not to see Russell Wilson play unless you don't have the Sunday package or you have no interest in watching the Seattle Seahawks.
Plus, Seattle plays a lot of primetime games. I mean, they're on Sunday Night Football a lot. They're on Thursday football. They're on Monday Night Football. So they're one of the premier franchises right now.
I don't understand, and you hit the nail on the head. The peers, the players, they know how great a quarterback Russell Wilson is, but everyone else, it's like, I mean, he's okay, but I'd rather have him.
They fall in love in the NFC with Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, and I think if Russell Wilson was, I hate to say, if he was in the AFC, where there aren't as many shiny, flashy quarterbacks that are chucking the ball like Russell Wilson is, maybe he'd be a little bit more attention. Do you kind of agree with that? Because when you look at the NFC quarterbacks compared to the AFC quarterbacks, good quarterbacks in both, but it's different styles. Because the NFC has a bunch of the flashy quarterbacks that are chucking the ball down the field, making those unbelievable throws that make you go, ooh, ah. And the AFC have more of the pocket, Tom Brady kind of type, not chucking the ball down the field, making
the surgical type of thing. I mean, you got Rodgers, you got Breeze. Now you have Brady over in the NFC.
Right. I mean,
and you have people in Philadelphia don't like him, but Carson Wentz is he's not as great as
you've had Rodgers and Breeze for a while, so they've been going with Russell Wilson through his whole career.
And then they go over to the AFC. You got Mahomes,
right,
and you got Lamar Jackson, who.
But even before them, I mean, it was Flacco and Alex Smith.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Yeah. No, that's a valid point. I mean, this year you're seeing at least 2 games in. Knock on wood. This right continues. Now, Josh Allen, you're seeing the emergence of him. Mm-hmm. If Baker, if the Browns use the run-oriented stuff first and set Mayfield up in a way in which the run is going to dictate his success, you might see him take a step in the right direction. But no, I think there's some validity to what you're saying, because the NFC quarterbacks, there's a lot more there's a lot more shiny objects in the NFC than there is in the AFC. I can see that.
And first 2 weeks, Russell Wilson's the MVP, and it's not close, in my opinion. First 2 weeks of this season, holy smokes!
Yeah, he's put up ridiculous numbers.
It's a long season,
absolutely.
Of course. But they finally gave him a running game. That's what he had last year. He didn't have a running game. He put the team on his back.
Yeah.
And literally drugged them to that NFC, divisional game, and almost drugged them past the Packers.
I mean, it seems to me though that they being the organization, doesn't give Russell Wilson the opportunities to show his talent off, because they're too busy trying to run the ball.
Well, they had Marshawn Lynch for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'd run the ball too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're playing 13-9, 14-10 type of game, and then midway through the fourth quarter, oh, hey, by the way, we need you to take the team down the field, score the winning touchdown, game over. Just let him rip from day one. I mean, and we talked about Josh Allen in the first hour. There's a big difference between Russell Wilson and Josh Allen. Russell Wilson is to that point where you can let him rip. Josh Allen is now starting to possibly get to the point of let's let him rip. There's a big difference between the two. So I don't know. I don't think he's appreciated in Seattle. I don't think he's appreciated, not from the players, and not from the players in this league. The people that do our job, and I don't cover the NFL for a living, but there's a lot of people that may not have Russell Wilson as one of the elite quarterbacks in the league.
You look at Seattle's identity through his career. Defense, with the Legion of Boom.
Yep.
And then running game with Marshawn Lynch. For a lot of his career, he was kind of an afterthought to that team when you thought about what their identity was.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have he never had an all-star type receiver. Not really.
He kind of does now with
Metcalf. He has now with Metcalf.
Oh my God.
But through his career, it's like name 2 receivers that Russell Wilson has had. It's I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to really think about it, because I know there's some decent ones that he's had, but he hasn't had the the Calvin Johnsons or the Chad Johnson, E.J. Green.
And isn't it interesting? We have the cute name, the Legion of Boom, and for a time, Sherman, Earl Thomas, pretty solid. But the one constant,
linebackers were ridiculous too.
No, absolutely. That back seven was just insanely good. But the one constant and the one thing that has kept Seattle great through the years is the one guy that nobody talks about. I mean, that's weird.
But the thing about Russell Wilson, he doesn't care.
And that's one of the other reasons why I love the guy. He's an elite quarterback, and if you were to ask him, he wouldn't necessarily say he's an elite quarterback. He's got that much humbleness.
He's one of those guys. He's never taken a foot out of line.
Yeah.
He's never said the wrong things in a press conference.
Yeah.
He's just show up, go to work.
Show up, do your job. Don't have the accolades. And
that
then just
throwing
repeat.
catch he made last night with in the corner of the end zone.
Jeez.
The catch was amazing.
Yes.
To have your foot feel the pylon and then be able to move it back.
Yeah.
That's just one of those things that only the top % of wide receivers can do, period.
Yeah.
You only see that in the NFL.
Didn't it remind you a little bit of Roethlisberger to, who made the catch? Santonio Holmes in the back of the end zone against Arizona.
The accuracy made me think of it, but it was just a different color. Because Santonio
was diving forward and not moving
kept
his feet
in.
Yeah.
This guy was falling backwards, had to kind of land and then feel the pylon. And then,
and then turn his foot to where it wasn't going to go out of bounds.
Those kind of things, I can't even grasp how you're able to have that kind of body control.
And mind and body control is crazy.
Because you also have to focus on catching the ball.
Yeah.
It's plays like that just make you go and respect the sheer athleticism that's on the field in the NFL.
No two ways about that.
Because sometimes they make it look so easy and you just forget.
Mm-hmm.
Then they make a play like that and you go, okay, these guys really are the top 1% of football players in the world.
Yeah, it's to me the iconic and what will always be an iconic catch. There's two. One when I was a kid and one when I was a teenager. The one when I was a kid, Super Bowl 10, and it's not Swan jumping over two Cowboys and moving his body to tippy toe inbounds and keep the feet inbounds. It's where the ball is tapped by Cliff Harris,
he's tipping it to himself,
and he's on his way down, still looking at this ball, and had the wherewithal to know I can still make this catch. That's insane. And the second one. You would look at the replay and you would look at the play, and I was blessed to have watched it as a teenager. I was 17, I think. The back of the end zone pass from Montana to Clark to beat the Cowboys. You look at that and you're like, oh, what the hell? I mean, that's not that hard of a catch. Bullshit! It's not that hard of a catch.
It's a heck of a throw.
First of all, it's a great throw by Montana. And secondly, Clark had to go as high as humanly possible, had no idea where the ball was because the ball was up on the tips of his hands, and he wasn't able to do one of these numbers because he had two guys draped on him. No, that's one of the greatest catches I've ever seen.
The other thing is when he goes up that high, you also have to be aware of where you're going to land.
Exactly.
And you can't look down while you're looking up. So you just kind of have to know exactly where you jumped and then have the body awareness to know where you are in the air compared to where you jumped.
Yeah, because he was close to the back line. Right. And you're like, oh, man, is he going to, if he catches the ball, is he going to be able to keep his feet in bounds? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those, nail-biting situations. Obviously we fell in love with the 49ers because they're a locally owned team with DeBartolo. And no offense to Cowboys fans on this. We're kind of sick of seeing the Cowboys because they had gone through the 70s, America's team, the whole 9 yards, and they wanted the underdog to win the game. So, let 49ers come along, Youngstown ownership. Hell yeah, let's see this. And, man, that was just one of the greatest catches in my childhood. That was that and Swan making the catch against the Cowboys. I feel like I'm piling on Dallas, where he jumps in the air, makes the catch, slides in the back of the end zone. That was iconic as well.
Yeah, and then the other thing is those catches impress me more than the ones that they look awesome, but they're kind of lucky.
Yeah.
Like the helmet catch.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome, it's impressive, but I'm more impressed by Eli escaping the sack than I was about him being able to catch.
Yeah, put the ball up against his helmet.
I mean, it's a great catch. It's great, but the ones where you have to have so many things that you have to think about while you're in the air, those are the ones that kind of impress me a little bit more than the, hey, I just got to stick this to my head and hope it sticks.
Yeah, well, Kevin Rader's catch for the Penguins against Eastern Washington, where he pinned the ball against the DB's body, whose back was to him.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of guys in college. I remember the West Virginia kid. They kind of went around the guy's body and caught it here in the front of the end zone and fell backwards with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the catches you see in college are ridiculous because it's just kind of flinging the ball in the air and hoping that someone jumps up and gets it.
Yeah.
You see that a lot more in college than you do in the NFL.
I made the comment in the post game that if the Penguins win a national championship, Kevin Rader's never going to have to buy a drink the rest of his life in the Youngstown area. Unfortunately, they didn't win the national title.
They ran into James Madison.
Yeah, they ran into a pretty good team in James Madison.
Ran that triple option, right?
Yeah, we were hoping that it was going to be Dolly Madison and we would eat him up. As it turns out, it was James Madison, and they threw the law down and said, we're going to impeach the Penguins. So, a little presidential humor there.
It was a great run.
Oh, it was. It was a phenomenal run. And hopefully, once we get back to playing football, we will have that caliber of a run because
this might be as crazy as it sounds. The year off might be a blessing in disguise for Doug Phillips because next year he's not going to have all those woes of a first-year coach. You know what I mean?
I get it.
He gets a whole year to kind of
they're still talking about spring football for FCS.
But it's not going to be a meaningful spring because half the FCS is playing now. I mean, the Citadel's playing, Austin Peay's playing. So some of the FCS is still playing. If it is, they're not going to be playing for like a playoffs, a championship.
Exactly.
So you still have a whole kind of calendar year to mesh with those guys, get to know everybody, kind of instill your system into them. It might be a blessing in disguise, as weird as that is to say about your season being ripped away.
I'm kind of now looking at this, and Brian Driscoll brought up a really good point, and he always does when we're talking about this. I think there's a lot of leagues that are now looking at this going, did we really make the right decision? Because if you notice, the Mid-American Conference is the newest team, or the newest league, I should say, to now start to scramble and say, hey, we want back into this.
And I've heard rumors about the Pac-12 too.
Well, the Pac-12 is allegedly going to be starting the first week in November.
So,
from what I understand, that they would start the first week in November, and they would have, as I get my calendar out, they would go November 7th. So they would have a 6-game regular season to December 12th, and then the 7th game would be the conference championship game. But I mean, again, if
no one in the Pac-12 is good enough to stand up to a 7, I mean, even if they're 7-0, you're going to put them ahead of Ohio State at 9-0, or the SEC at 10-0, or ACC at 10-0. It's like,
I mean,
there's no one that's vaunted in the Pac-12 that you're like, we have to put them in if they go undefeated.
Oregon?
I don't think, especially when they're just playing Pac-12 teams.
So that's the other thing. I mean, I get it, and you want to be able to play the games. All right, I get that. No problem. That's great. But if you're trying to get one of your teams into the postseason based on a 7-game schedule,
you better have one of the other boys stub their toe. I mean, you better hope for Ohio State to stub their toe against a Big Ten team.
Well, let me ask. I mean, Notre Dame. Ohio State's going to play the 24th, so that's going to be 2 extra games. So they're going to have 9 games instead of 7. Let's say Ohio State's 8-1, and there's a lot of 1-loss teams all over the place. The SEC. I don't think anybody in the SEC is going to go undefeated because they beat the crap out of each other.
You're right. I mean, Alabama's in a down year. As weird as that is to say, they're still going to be great, but they're not going to be. They're not going to be Alabama.
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to be 9-0 or 10-0. So
except Clemson,
maybe Clemson if they get past Notre Dame. And by the way, Notre Dame looked really good Saturday.
Whoever wins that game might go undefeated because the rest of both those teams' schedules are.
Yeah, but they play. If everything is equal, they play each other again in the ACC title game.
So if the big. So what are you asking again?
So let's say that someone runs the table in the Pac-12 and they go undefeated. Mm-hmm. I mean, 7-0. Okay, great, wonderful. Does 7-0 get you into the playoffs other than an 8-1, 9-1 team?
It really depends who that one loss is. I mean, if Ohio State pulls what they did a couple years ago and loses to Purdue, and gets beat up by a Purdue,
Yeah.
then I say you lost to one of the bad teams in your schedule. You can't afford that this year because you have nothing non-conference to fall back on. But if Ohio State loses to like Penn State at home on the road on Halloween,
yeah,
and then Penn State doesn't lose a game
Ghost
the rest
night.
of the way, Penn State doesn't lose a game the rest of the way, like maybe Penn State's a one-loss team too.
Yeah,
you're starting to think, well, okay, who did Oregon really beat? There's no really other powers in the Pac-12, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be dicey.
Yeah,
it'd be dicey.
Now, I'm going to be curious to see.
But then if
what
like
happens.
Ohio State doesn't go to the Big Ten championship because of that one loss, and Oregon goes and wins the Pac-12, that'll be interesting too. Do you put a conference champion ahead of a team that didn't win the Big Ten but still had one loss?
Well, we saw that a few years ago.
Right.
Penn State won the conference championship, but they put Ohio State in the playoffs because the Buckeyes only had one loss and Penn State had 2 losses.
Right, and the only reason Penn State played in that championship is because they beat Ohio State.
Yeah, so it just that was
it's crazy.
It was absolutely nuts.
And if you set that the thing that drives me insane is they set that precedence, but then they don't follow it because they have different.
Oh, trust me, we're seeing that right now. Precedents set, and we're not following precedents now. I don't want to mention any names, but we're seeing it right now, and I don't think I need to say anything else. 330-88. We're going to leave that one there. 330-886-0813. Back in a bit. It's a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open, 330-886-0813. We had Dana Balish on at the top of the hour, and we were talking about the possibility of teams going into the playoffs and after they're eliminated, saying, hey, we're done. We don't want to play any more games. And then we had the discussion of, there is unfinished business, depending on whether or not you have played an arch rival.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up. There could be games to be played against rivals that are out of conference that you get to play because you both got knocked out of the playoffs, or you both opted out. I mean, those rivalry games are really important to your kids.
Yeah.
And I would take the opportunity to play that.
Yeah, here's a great example of that. And by the way, if you play 10 games, that's all you're going to be allowed to play unless you're still continuing on in the postseason. Let's say that Letonia and Columbiana both are eliminated before they play their 10th game. As the EOAC has 8 teams in their conference, you were predetermined to not play one game per conference. If you played you played 6 of your 7 games, 6 of your 7 conference games were played since the season was 6 weeks long. As luck would have it, Letonia and Columbiana were 2 teams that were not going to be on the schedule. So let's say that Letonia and Columbiana are both eliminated prior to a potential 10th game. You got to play that game.
When was the last time Letonia beat Columbiana in football? I got to imagine it's been
at least 5 years.
I think they would have done it this year.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
you think?
So
no disrespect to Columbiana.
No, I mean, we're just talking.
You went down to Salineville and lost to Southern, a team that Letonia beat. And again, that's terrible to do the one game comparison thing. But no, I think that Letonia would have their best chance in a long time.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Letonia, they definitely have an opportunity to win that game.
Absolutely.
That locker room's got to be sitting there like, dang, I wish we had a shot at Columbiana. And you don't want it because after you lose in the playoffs, it's like, we have a shot at Columbiana, but, man, we missed our bigger shot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And kind of lose its team. You'd love to beat your rival and then have that win propel you into a good playoff seed.
Here's the other part of this. Southern plays United this week.
That's going to be fun.
If I'm not mistaken, they're playing each other this week, and they are. And it's down in Salineville. All right, United's undefeated. Letonia's undefeated. Southern has 1 loss. Let's say Southern knocks off United. Now Letonia, assuming they get past East Palestine, has an undefeated record, undefeated in the league. They're the only team that's undefeated in the league, and they get to play United down in Hanoverton in week number 6. Let's say United knocks off Letonia. Now you have 1 loss Southern, 1 loss United, 1 loss
and they've all beaten
Letonia. They've all beaten each other. Who
I think it goes to the point totals to go to this tiebreaker.
Well, here's the other thing. Who did United not play on their schedule? Well, let's take a look. They've played Columbiana, Lisbon, Wellsville, Valley Christian, Southern, Letonia. United didn't play East Palestine. So, do you play East Palestine once you're eliminated from the playoffs? Maybe.
East Palestine probably wouldn't take that game. They're looking for games that are competitive.
Yeah, exactly. Letonia, they didn't play Columbiana. Now, which one's easier to win in a United beating East Palestine or Letonia beating Columbiana?
Right.
And that's where United would sit back and go, wait a second, we're getting robbed here. So bottom line for United, just win.
Bottom line for United is, holy smokes, that quarterback to receiver combo with Baker and Ogilvy.
Yeah. Ogilvy's unbelievable. And that receiver is
Keaton Baker's
really good.
He's a fun tool to have in your tool chest.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they struggled a little bit in the windy conditions of Friday night. Were kind of slowed down that pass attack, and they grinded. Their defense stepped up and said, "Hey, we got you guys. We're gonna shut out this team while you guys kind of get your feet under yourselves."
Yeah.
And they won 21-0. I mean, that showed me a lot about that team, that they can win in different ways.
You talk about contrasting styles in the final week of the season, and let's see if United gets past Southern. Letonia gets past Palestine, you're looking at 2 undefeated teams going at each other. And you talk
at
about
that point, it'd be for the championship.
Absolutely, it would be.
So.
Yeah, absolutely, it would be. That would then be for the outright championship of the league. You have the contrasting style of Letonia, pound, 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 and oh, by the way, pound, pound, pound against United. Flick, flick, chuck, chuck, chuck. Oh, by the way, boom.
Yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, that's worthy of a lot of attention.
Right now, I mean, I would give United a little bit of an edge just because, like I said, on Friday night, they proved they could win in a different way. Because they weren't scoring at random. They weren't, chucking the ball down the field and getting, 28, 35, 42 points. They had to really win with their defense and kind of lock down the defense until their offense got under them. So I was really impressed with United showing that they could win in a different way. Because it was 7-0 at halftime. So their offense really struggled for a while, and their defense held the fort. Now, will they do that against Marco Ferri? That's a different question. I mean, so it'll be interesting.
That to me, this could be a whole lot of fun. And you don't want to put the cart before the horse because there are some things that need to be taken care of.
United can't look past Southern. I think Southern proved that last week.
No, and look, the only reason why Southern Local has one loss is because they weren't able to get a 2-point conversion late in their game against Leetonia in week 1.
Right.
And then you ask yourself, if you kick the extra point and go to overtime, what happens? I don't know. I mean, you talk about a hard-fought game. That was as advertised. That was a hard-fought game.
I bet he looked at his defense and said, man, they've been trying to stop that run all day. Let's just win it here and go home.
Sure.
Let's not put that defense through.
Absolutely. And one of the things that is vastly underrated about Leetonia, and look, I'll be the first to admit this. They're way too one-dimensional. They need to get more production outside of Marco Ferri. They need to get more production. But the one glaring thing that nobody has been talking about in EOAC country, that defense is elite.
Was it week 2 where they had, in my opinion, the best defensive performance of the week with that defensive line just completely dominating every line of scrimmage?
Yep.
It was impressive. I forget who they were playing in week 2.
Valley Christian.
So it was one of those games where it was Leetonia and Valley Christian was coming off a win.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, Valley Christian looked really impressive. And they were winning every snap off the ball. And you could just tell, this defense is for real.
Yeah, it's a legit defense. I had an opportunity, since we had a week off, I was down at the Italian American Club and catching up with some friends watching the game on YSN. And kudos to the Italian American Club for putting YSN Live on all the TVs. I mean, and we had a large group of people that were watching this game. I was impressed by what I saw defensively. Oh my God, they're fast. They get after it. This is not just a Marco Ferri production at Leetonia. This defense is just unbelievable. That's gonna be fun to watch.
It'll be a different challenge because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but no one really on their schedule has been the style of United executing that style like United does.
It kind of reminds me of Southern last year.
Their secondary is going to be tested, and it's going to be less of a control the line of scrimmage and more of a can you cover these receivers long enough to give your line chances to get to bruise
and can your defensive line push past the offensive line and put some immense pressure
can you get
on
pressure?
Ogilvy?
We talk about with all these electric quarterbacks, can you get pressure without blitzing?
Yep.
Because when you blitz, you take away defenders.
Yes.
So if you can get pressure without having to blitz, makes your life a whole lot easier.
Oh, it does. It makes your life all kinds easier. And I don't like looking forward to 1 week because you shouldn't.
It's just when you just circle. You don't look at it, you just circle it.
You got to circle it. And if you see everything that might happen in week 5 come to fruition, that week 6 matchup is ridiculous. It's much like in the Northeast 8. South Range is playing Hubbard in the last game. Now
Hubbard's got a test.
Hubbard has a huge test. They have a huge test.
South Range has a test too. I mean, I'm not going to knock Struthers.
No, South Range is going to have a serious game on their hands. Make no two ways about that. A lot of things are going to have to go right. Hubbard goes into Poland to take on a very good Poland team that one loss came to South Range.
They just need to kick in the mouth. Poland did. I mean, they just need that.
Yeah.
They need that last week too.
Wait a second. You want us to? Let me show you what we have. steamroll everyone.
Oh, hitting people is encouraged.
Yeah, well, let's show you what we have.
You know, because, I mean, you felt it that week one. I mean, they weren't bad. They were playing really well.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think when I watched the game that energy wasn't there that you see from Poland now in the last 3 weeks. That almost swagger and the confidence I don't think was there from Poland in week one. And it definitely is there week 2, week 3, week 4. So they're going to walk into that game against Hubbard with the swagger and the confidence and the "we are Poland," you know, kind of mantra. And Hubbard's going to have to snap that real quick because they've limped across their wins. They've been impressive. They've won, but they haven't dominated. And they're gonna have to bring some lumber on to Poland, and it's gonna be good because TC Caffey can run, and so can Poland. So it's gonna be the battle of the running games.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of my 5 better games on a Friday.
Don't you love like the end of the season football where games really start?
Oh yeah. Yeah, where conference, if you're in a conference games are, oh, hey, well,
you know where teams stand and you know how important games are.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah, no, there's a number of games this week that I'm going to be circling. The biggest circle is Fitch and Benedictine up in Euclid. I mean, that is, for me, if Fitch, not that they haven't made a statement already, because they have 4 times over. But if you really want to make a statewide statement, go up to Euclid and bury Benedictine. If you do that, not only have you made a circle, and the circle's already in the Mahoning Valley. Austintown Fitch is arguably the best team in the Mahoning Valley right now, arguably. You want to make a statewide impression, go up to Euclid, bury Benedictine, and now everyone in Division II is going to go, holy crap, what is this, and what do we have to deal with?
Right.
So to me, that's that might be top of the list material, followed.
You know, another statement last week was Canfield, because they lost to Dover last year in a heart-crushing loss in Canfield, and they went down to Dover and they just demolished that team, and it was never even close. So that was a huge statement from Canfield.
Yeah, and the other thing is they were not leaving Canfield. This was their first and only road game. So okay, it's nice. You're in your home stadium, and okay, the home field advantage is kind of taken away.
And Dover's on down the road.
Yeah, because you can only have 1,500 or 15% of capacity, so home field is kind of sort of taken away. But you know your comfort zone in your own stadium. You know where everything is. You go all the way down I-77 into that area, Amish country. And you put a beat down of magnanimous proportions on a very good Dover team, okay.
Yeah, and Dover's not just a couple blocks away.
No, you're traveling.
That's a trek.
Yeah, you're traveling. You're going into horse and buggy territory, so that's you're doing some traveling down 77.
You know, I bet that was the game that in the summer, every player on that Canfield team circled it. Once they had the schedule, they said, this is the team right here.
Yeah.
Because that was a heartbreaking loss to Dover last year, and it was a season-changing loss to Dover last year. So every one of those Cardinal players circled that game, and then you saw what happened when a motivated team goes on the road, and they're a good motivated team. It can be really dangerous.
Now, Canfield has a dangerous opponent on Friday night in Cheney.
They always have a dangerous opponent.
They do, but this one's a little bit more dangerous.
Cheney got some swagger on Saturday.
Cheney took a lot of frustration out on Saturday night against Cardinal Mooney, and I was listening to a couple of people, and I would not want to play this team.
Well, here's the thing.
Early in the playoffs.
Here's the thing I've seen from Cheney. Every piece is there.
Yeah.
They just got to put it together.
Yep.
With mental toughness.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing. They showed mental toughness in the Mooney game. They executed every play. They were always focused. And you saw what could happen. And maybe that team can go and look at film and be like, and Coach Emile can be like, hey, this is what happens when we focus on every play. We're mentally disciplined. We got the talent that everyone else has. Let's go prove it. Let's go prove it. They can make a statement Friday.
Well, they've made a statement the last 2 weeks. I thought their game against Austintown Fitch was as good a performance as I've seen in that. And if any other team except Austintown Fitch, they're winning that game.
Props to Fitch, but once again, Cheney lost their little bit of mental focus because they were so excited about being up at halftime. I think they lost a little bit of mental focus, and I think that's been their trouble this year because you look at that roster, you look at them on the field, you look at them play, you go, every piece is there for a successful team. You just got to put it together. You just got to, click the Lego together, and you got a good building.
Yeah.
And they did that on Saturday. And for Cowboy Country, you hope that film is kind of a blueprint of how to succeed down the stretch.
This is not a game, and I understand people would say, 4-0 against 1-3. Show me to week number 6. No, that's not one of those games.
No.
This is going to be a good game.
Especially, you brought it up when you look at what Cheney did to Fitch.
Yeah.
That should put Canfield on alert real quick.
Yeah, this is going to be a good game. I think another game that again, Harding is going to have another fun game against Ursuline up at Mollenkopf. This is a game that 3-1 versus 1-3. No, this isn't a 1-3 type of team. Again, props to Fitch. Harding had that team beat, and Fitch threw the last punch, got him down, and that was that. Harding at home against Ursuline. Oh man, that's gonna be a fun game.
Ursuline's been playing very angry since they lost to Fitch.
Yep.
In a game that they felt like could have been a lot more competitive. Not
Sure.
saying they felt like they could have won that game.
Yeah.
Of course, you always feel like you can. Well, when you look at the tape and how that game transpired, I think the Irish probably looked at that film and went, "This should have been a lot closer than what was it, like 38-20."
Yeah.
It should have been a lot closer than it was. We lost a little bit of focus, and we kind of. We gave that game away, and they've been playing like they know they did that in the last couple of weeks. So, so many fun games, so many good teams in this area.
Yeah, one game under the radar that needs to at least be addressed. East Liverpool is going to travel to Beloit to take on 4-0 West Branch.
Those are two teams. Like West Branch needs to keep it rolling, but East Liverpool needs to.
They need to wake up after their loss to Crestview, and it could have been a whole lot worse. Anthony Cusick throwing in a pick in the end zone on the opening drive that East Liverpool was able to return deep into Crestview territory. They turn it into a touchdown, and that's, as it turns out, their only score of the night. As Crestview put the clamps on them the rest of the night. I want to see how East Liverpool responds after that loss, because 2 weeks ago they lost to St. Clairsville, number 1 ranked team as of last weekend, by a couple of touchdowns. They lose by 16 to Crestview this past Friday night.
And now it doesn't get any easier.
And it don't get any easier for you. Now you got to go to West Branch. Let's see what the Potters are made of here.
And when you talk about West Branch, kudos to them for winning without their quarterback, because Brock Hilliard did not play in that game, and Drew DeShields kind of took up that mantle, put the shoes on, and led the Warriors to a win over a pretty good Carrollton team that came off a heartbreaking loss to Salem. They were undefeated before that Salem game, so Carrollton had to feel like, hey, we got this team at home, and West Branch took it to them. So props to them, and props to Drew DeShields kind of stepping up when his team needed to be stepped up.
MVAC gray tier, and then we'll take a break. Brookfield is at Champion, and
Champion needs it like anything.
Yeah, and I heard the whole thing leading up to the start of the season. We have two teams that we need to pay back, Crestview and Champion, because they cost us an opportunity to go to the playoffs last year. Mission accomplished with Crestview in the mud and the driving rainstorm. Do you have what it takes to knock off Brookfield this Friday? Champion's going to be fired up, all kinds fired up for that game.
There's a lot on tape to look at and fix. I think there were easy fixes on why they lost to LeBray. Some defensive miscues, defensive breakdowns. It wasn't like LeBray was just bigger and better. It was a systematic and execution thing that Champion lost. So I think they're going to go in film. They're going to try to fix it. But Brookfield is tough.
Yep,
so it's
going
to be that's one of the games I circle too, because desperate teams are scary, and Champion is desperately needing for a win, not just for payback, But to stay within the conversation of that conference, they need a win.
Yeah, because there's two teams that have one loss in the conference, Champion and Crestview. Brookfield is undefeated.
And LeBray.
LeBray's 2-2.
In the conference.
LeBray has 2 losses.
In the conference?
I believe they
they
lost to Brookfield and they lost to Crestview.
There you go. Okay.
So they have 2 losses. Newton Falls has 3. Liberty has 3. Camel, I want to say, has 3 as well. So
they lost.
No, they have 2.
Yeah, they
have 2.
Beat Liberty. So
yeah, they beat Liberty on Friday night.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, Mickey Sikora's team is 2-2, and that's a young, really young team. Just like Liberty, both teams really young. They're going to be a lot better in 2021.
I'd say the thing about Camel is they have playmakers. They can make plays in big situations. They're not putting results up yet because they're so young. But when their team needed a play against Liberty, they always kind of made that play. They have that clutch gene almost. And when they get some experience and fix some of the execution problems down the road, Camel's going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Not that they're not fun to watch right now. We're going to take a time out because we got to talk about the Jackson Milton Blue Jays and pay homage to that team because they did something I didn't think was possible. They went into Berlin Center. They took care of business. We got to pay homage to the Jays. That's coming up in a bit. Stick around. More to come.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plan still meets your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. Anthony is in his Chiefs gear, and he is, you're doing your
Can't do it at Arrowhead anymore, so I might as well just do it on Running Points.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess you can do. What do they call that in Kansas City? Do they call it the Tomahawk Chop?
No, War Chant.
Okay.
I forget.
All right.
They don't rip off Florida State.
Okay.
I don't know which franchise did it brought it up first. I don't know. Florida State started doing it, and the Chiefs organization was like, "Hey, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do it."
Well, who was first, the Braves or Florida State?
The Braves do the
the Braves and then Florida State. And I'm surprised that the Chicago Blackhawks haven't picked up on that in hockey. Although I don't see hockey fans doing stuff like that. They're too busy watching the pending fights on the ice. That's all kind of good.
What's the NHL update? I haven't seen what the NHL
Tampa Bay's playing Dallas in the Stanley Cup, and I believe Dallas has jumped out to a 1-0 lead.
How about Dallas, my man? We came into the playoffs talking to Tom Callahan about them not having enough offense to get out of the first round against Calgary.
We have to get him back
and
on,
then
because
they found an offense. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I just I don't know where the hell this came from. Dallas upset Vegas. They took out Tampa last night 4-1, or not last night. Saturday night they took them out 4-1. They're playing tonight, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championship, yeah, that's.
Where are they playing those games?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure where these games are being played. I want to say in Toronto, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. So that's.
We'll have our research department work it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
you can't. We have a whole team right there. You just can't see them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Are we going to start calling names?
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Luigi, come here. Yeah, I have no idea where this game is being played. I'm going to have to. We'll get Callahan on later in the week and talk about this, because I'm blown away that Dallas was able to beat Vegas in the West.
Let's talk about Jackson Milton, though. We need to.
I mean, we need to.
I mean, we talked about them last week, and we said, hey, this team is in the same position they were last year.
Yep.
Started the season 3-0 against questionable opponents, and then they hit the hard road of their conference, and they took their lumps, and they responded, really, because they won the last 2 games of their season. Now they were in the same situation. They were undefeated. They were going up against a team that, they lost to last year, and they just went and they took care of business. They said, we're not going to have a repeat of last year. We're not going to go and not compete with these boys. I think it's a great testament to the step they took as a program, because last year they got there. They were like, okay, we get to the point where we can at least compete with these guys. And then now they're at the point where they can not just compete, but they can beat these guys. So much respect to Jackson Milton.
46-38 over Western Reserve, and they have Mineral Ridge at home this week. Now, imagine,
that's
if
a Western
you will,
Reserve defense, by the way, that held Springfield to 10 points at halftime.
Thank you very much. You're right, and imagine
you can say it's because they held the ball for 10 minutes, but at the same point, they still held Springfield to 10 points at halftime.
Exactly. Imagine, if you will. Springfield's playing Waterloo. Let's just say that Springfield wins that game. Now, it would be more of a breaking news if Waterloo were to upset them, but pretty good chance Springfield beats Waterloo. Mineral Ridge is 1-3. Jackson Milton is 4-0. Mineral Ridge last week. They lost to McDonald 35-14. Jackson Milton has not played McDonald, and nor will they play McDonald. But let's assume for a second Jackson Milton gets past Mineral Ridge. An assumption, but if both things play out, 5-0 Springfield at 5-0 Jackson Milton. Now, I'm sure on paper everyone would look at this and say, oh, please, Springfield, this is going to be no contest. They're the much better team. I'm not saying that the game against Western Reserve was eye-opening to the point where they're the team to beat.
They beat him. I mean, a lot of the Western Reserve points were in garbage time.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Exactly.
That game wasn't as close as the final score.
And that's the reason why I'm now thinking, if these guys get past Mineral Ridge and they play Springfield and they're both undefeated, I'm not so sure that Jackson Milton can't at least hold themselves accountable to the point where they give Springfield the biggest scare of any team in that league.
Jackson Milton, if you're listening, hear me. Do not overlook Mineral Ridge.
Amen.
Springfield. Don't make that mistake, because a loss to Mineral Ridge this week just deflates everything. And I
exactly.
think, then you're going deflated against Spring. You do not want to focus on Mineral Ridge, because then you focus on Mineral Ridge, you beat Mineral Ridge, that sets up your opportunity. So don't be thinking about your Springfield opportunity, because that Springfield opportunity isn't there yet. It's not even there yet. You can't
Coach
even discuss
Hardwig,
it.
preach.
It's not there. You have to get there first. So beat Middle Ridge, take care of business, and then let's have that opportunity against Springfield. Because right now, I'm sure a lot of people are talking like, "Oh, we beat Western Reserve. Now we have an opportunity to play Springfield." No,
you don't have that opportunity yet.
Opportunity's not there yet. Beat Middle Ridge first.
Yeah.
Then you can have that opportunity.
One week at a time.
We can have fun that week. We can build it up. We can hype ourselves up for Springfield. Just don't do it a week early. I've seen too many teams in high school that kind of do that, because it's hard for a high school kid to fight that urge to look ahead.
Sure.
But you got to do it. You got to be mentally tough this week and prepare for Middle Ridge.
That's it. You can put a circle next to that Springfield game, but you're not playing that game this week. You're playing a worthy opponent. And even if it were a winless team, that's still going to be a very worthy opponent, because if you keep your eyes off of the team that you're playing, that's when you get an ass whipping.
Right.
So that's where, again, if you're Jackson Milton, wonderful victory over Western Reserve, and you're right. This was a thorough, dominating performance by Jackson Milton.
That game went on forever too.
Yeah, but if you don't beat Mineral Ridge, that game against Western Reserve really doesn't have a lot of meaning to it. It really doesn't. So you have to be able to say, okay, let's keep this rolling and let's go to 5-0. And if Springfield is 5-0, come get some. Let's have some fun. Much like, again, United and Leetonia.
Because then at 5-0, you got nothing to lose in that Springfield game.
Yeah.
I mean, no one expects you to win. If you don't win, you're 5-1. Still very respectful. You're going to get a good spot in the playoffs. But if you lose Middle Ridge and Springfield, then your kind of stock drops.
Yes.
So I think right now for their season, the Middle Ridge game is more important.
Absolutely, it is.
So
because if you get this victory now, okay, if you lose to Springfield at 5-0, it doesn't hurt as much as if we are 4-2.
Right.
There's a really good chance you get a seed if you're 5-1. There's no chance for you to get a high seed and a week off if you finish 4-2. That's not going to happen. And you know, we always like looking forward and doing some stuff. And I'll steal your term, put a circle next to it. Go figure. The MVAC Scarlet and the EOAC could very well have in week 6 two games with undefeated teams. And man, that would be a blast to see. All right, let's go to Champ.
Really, the NE8 could do it too.
And the NE8 can do it too. You're right. Champ, let's get you on board. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
How you guys doing? I hope you had a good weekend. Always a lot to talk about on Monday.
Yeah, no kidding.
Football.
Yeah.
Ron, before I move on to some of my other topics, I have a question for you because I'm curious because you would understand this. You know, every year in the high school football playoffs, they put out those media guides during the playoffs. They have all these stats. This team has been in the playoffs so many years. This team has done this. Team has done that. And I like to keep, as you know, a lot of my own records, tons and tons of books. So now, what do we do about this year in terms of, since everybody makes the playoffs, are we then going to count that as a playoff season in the history books of Ohio high school football?
I mean, technically, everyone is going to be in the playoffs, so you would count it that way. But I don't like living in an asterisk world. But I would have to put an asterisk next to this because it would explain, hey, the reason why there were so many teams in the postseason, COVID related, and go from there. This is a completely different scenario than the normal. A normal season, you'd have the top 8 teams in each region. So this is completely different from what we're used to seeing. So I'd have to put an asterisk next to this thing.
Do you almost put this entire season in a different chapter to explain it all? Because you're in a different region than you started off with the way they did these playoffs and we're the defending champs. Defending this. I mean, there's just so many things that that we like to keep track of, these little statistics and interesting facts now that totally are changed because of this whole 2020 year in all sports, really.
Well, and it's not like it's not going to mean something. I would make an argument that the teams that win a state championship this year are going to earn it even more than previous years, because now you're going to be playing an extra 2 weeks of playoff games. So if you're 15-0, or not 15-0, I'm sorry. If you're 6-0 and you play through 5 playoff games where once you lose, you're done, man, it's going to be it's going to be tough because you got 7 weeks of postseason and only 6 weeks of the regular season. It's a strange year, but I would argue that the team that wins the state championship in D1 through D7, they will have earned their state championship far more than at any point in time in the history of the OHSAA's state playoff format.
I totally agree with that point. I guess I'm just looking at it from a statistical point of view. How do we classify all these little things? And I guess I'm a little nervous because I have to get new notebooks now to continue. I mean, I have everything all organized. You get certain champions. All of a sudden, when they add the playoff teams, it's like, wait a minute, I only got 8 slots. You on 16?
Chimp, I know you love doing the stuff with a notebook. I would suggest that you have a notebook, a notebook for 2020, and just have that, because I think that tabling and journaling the 2020 season, that's something that 20, 30, 40 years down the road, when people are trying to determine what the hell happened in 2020, at least someone will have a journal to explain what went wrong, and why we only played 6 regular season games, and why everyone in the state of Ohio got into the postseason. I think it's a great idea to have a separate notebook for this year.
Thanks a lot, because now you just convinced me to do it, and the only person who's going to matter is me.
Yeah, well, it's not like you're going to be spending an awful lot of money, champ. Let's be honest.
Right. Notebooks are cheap now. Let's go on to the NFL. I saw a stat this morning, if you saw this, is that when a team in the NFL, in NFL history, scores 39 points and they do not turn the ball over, the record coming in before Sunday's game was 440-0. 440-0. Now it's 440-1 because Atlanta just did that. They had 39 points and no turnovers. They're the first team ever to lose a football game.
Yeah, actually, it's 458, champ.
Is it? Okay.
I saw that the Falcons yesterday became the first team in franchise history to score, or NFL history, I should say, to score 39 points without a turnover and lose the game. Until that happened, teams that did that were 458-0.
Right.
Well, that 440 is since turnovers were recorded as official stats.
Okay,
so
very good. You guys are on top of it.
Yeah, Jim Murray, who's pretty old. He said 458. So, regardless, I mean that's a ridiculous amount of games. But when you think about this, Atlanta is the perfect franchise to have this happen to, because they blew a large lead in the Super Bowl against New England, so they're used to blowing leads like that.
Arguably the biggest choke job in NFL Super Bowl history.
I don't think there's any two ways about that.
And then also, I'm a little confused on what they were thinking about on that onside kick. They weren't playing spud, where you got to avoid the ball. They were supposed to. What were they thinking about by letting that thing roll 10 yards? Why did they just?
I don't understand why everyone was looking at the ball. I mean, was it doing something that no one had ever seen before? I don't get this.
Well, it's spinning around. Maybe he thought it was one of those drones that came into the Indian game the other night.
Well, that's true. We didn't talk about the drone alert or the drone delay in the Indians-Tigers game. Some knucklehead put a drone and kept the drone like 15, 20 feet off the ground and was flying around, and then it flew down into the grass at Comerica. And I'm like, what the hell? What is this? So, yeah. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And wasn't it against the Cubs, too? which made it even weirder.
Yeah. No, it was against the Cubs. It wasn't against the Tigers. You are correct. It was
against the Cubs.
It was against the Cubs. It was against the Cubs at Wrigley. So go figure.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to close off with this. Say a prayer tonight for the Raiders because I'm very interested to see what happens and see if they can somehow defensively hold the Saints under 40. But I will watch this game with no fans, opening up a brand new, beautiful place, and there's no fans.
Yeah, the Death Star, and you have no fans. It's kind of I'm hoping that James Earl Jones can revisit the Darth Vader character and do some recorded drop-ins for the stadium. You know.
The question becomes if John Vicenza was still alive, how would he narrate that?
Oh, there you go.
Empty stadium. Anyways, go Raiders, baby.
All right, man. See ya. That's.
I can see the Saints offensive coordinator. Drew, you've turned off your targeting computer. Is everything all right?
Drew, your targeting computer is off. What's the movie that has Ric Flair's theme music?
Spaceballs?
Space Odyssey.
Oh.
Yeah, Space Odyssey, where the computer's talking to the guy, and then the guy wants to turn on the computer, and the computer ultimately kills him. That's like, yeah. I don't know if I would want to play in that arena or in that stadium. Kind of looks too much like like something out of Star Wars. It's like. And then, like I said, if you get James Earl Jones to do some third down, we must crush the force. I'm like, holy shit! What is this? Have a Darth Vader type of.
The fans start booing. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yeah, I find your lack of faith disturbing. There's so many different things that you could have James Earl Jones. And by the way, there's only a handful of people, I can count on one hand, that I would actually want to do my eulogy at my funeral. James Earl Jones is one of them. Morgan Freeman's another one. Vin Scully is a third. I haven't figured out the other two. But those three, yeah, that's like... that would be cool. That would be cool. Not that I would see it or anything, but
not alive anymore. But Orson Welles would be.
Orson Welles was pretty cool.
He was a voice
when he was the pitch man for a Paul Masson wine. We will sell no wine before it's time. I'm like, voice of God. All right, pretty cool. Yeah.
Morgan Freeman's good.
Morgan Freeman's good, especially if you get him in the Shawshank Redemption type of, Ron always had. I can't do his voice. We got to get who's the guy? Caliendo. We got to get Caliendo to do Morgan Freeman's voice. You imagine having Morgan Freeman paying him an absurd amount of money to leave or to put your message on your phone.
Nowadays, you can pay like a $50 thing, and celebrities will make you a personalized video, so you can just have your loved one. If Morgan Freeman's on that Cameo website, where you can do that, like, hey, $50, get Morgan Freeman to do that.
Yeah, I told Tom Hamilton once, I was like, I'll pay you X amount of dollars if you do my my smartphone.
Ron is way back.
Yeah. Away back. God. Leave a message at the beep. He didn't find that funny, so I think it would be good. Either that or the Yankee broadcaster John. Oh gosh, and now that the name escapes me. Yeah. John Sterling. If you have him on the fly do a home run call with my name attached to it, and just go from there, and then he's done, and then I go.
Up with a lot of good nicknames.
Oh yeah, a Stantonian home run by Giovanni Stanton, and then he'll start singing Italian music. I'm just like,
I like the A-bomb from A-Rod.
yeah, the A-bomb from A-Rod. Yeah, yeah. That's no. I think that. How much money do you think they could make by just saying, "Hey, for $100, I will. I'll put a personalized message on your phone." Morgan Freeman wouldn't have to work another day in his life.
Not that he does now.
I mean, and I don't think I don't think it's $100. I think it's more like $1,000, and they could probably get away with charging $1,000 if they were to sit back and he can't come to the phone right now. God, I wish I could do Morgan Freeman's voice. Yeah, I mean, Peter Griffin would be. I could do his voice. Yeah. You've reached him right here, and he can't come to the phone right now. Stewie, get away from your mother. Leave a message at the tone, and maybe we'll call back. I don't know. I'd like to do Quagmire would be. Yeah, you're not away from the phone right now. Leave a name and message, and maybe we'll get back to you. Giggity, giggity, giggity. All right, 330-886-0813.
Save us.
Yeah,
Save
that's
us.
just the phone. This show went off the rails pretty quickly.
Caller, bring us to the 90s. Save us by the bell. Let's go.
Let's take a timeout.
Oh, I thought we had a phone call.
No, he dropped.
Oh, he heard us.
He dropped. He was like, "No, this isn't a sports show. This is some. This is what they're doing. Phone messages from Quagmire and Peter Griffin." If Seth MacFarlane ever gets hurt, yeah, I'm the fill-in guy. Yeah, Peter Griffin. I'm the fill-in guy for him.
My word. My word.
330. Yeah, 330-886-0813. Giggity, giggity, giggity. Back in a bit. Stick around.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Okay, this is a question that's going to have to be asked either in the Power Hour or tomorrow. I'll hold this off and ask it again because we got a person texted me and said, "Hey Ron, what about Ice Cube, Common, or Dave Chappelle?" Ice Cube's got some pipes. He and Common both. have some pipes.
Ice Cube brings that attitude.
Yeah,
Like,
that's not bad.
I don't know if I'd want to.
Chappelle is.
I don't know if I'd want to leave a message. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, Chappelle's hilarious, but I don't know if other than the hilariousness of him, I don't know if he would be in that same regard.
Chris Rock, I just thought of it.
Chris Rock is another one. He's
Like,
too funny.
But he'd leave a really funny message, and it's one of those really recognizable voices.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go funny, then what's the guy's name? Jeff Foxworthy.
You might be a redneck.
Yeah. If you can't get a hold of him, you might realize he's away from his phone, and just go from there. But
Larry the Cable Guy.
Larry the Cable Guy, yeah. He ain't home right now, but leave a name and number. Get her done.
The break didn't help.
The break didn't help. We're still doing this stuff.
We got 9 minutes. Let's tuck back on real quick. And
Honestly,
Hey.
and for me personally, Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, Vin Scully, those are three, and I'd have to reserve my last two.
U.S. Open. DeChambeau pulls it off.
What was the comment that Brian Tolnar made? I'm not so sure of this strategy of going at this course the way DeChambeau is planning on going at this
And for
course.
a while, he was right.
You're right, but there's something to be said about bashing the course with hit the ball as hard as you possibly can.
I think what DeChambeau did well is he said, these are my strengths. I'm not going to go away from my strengths just because of what the course is. I'm going to take my strengths, and I'm going to do what I can to win this thing.
And he did a much better job in the final round of keeping the ball in the fairway off the tee, which Wolf, it finally bit him in the backside.
Hey, and to Tolnar's credit, he was right. I mean, I never heard of Matthew Wolf.
Yeah.
With 2 Fs.
Yeah.
But he said some no-name's going to come out and make noise.
Yep.
And he was right.
And I thought for a while it was going to be Kokrak because he was tied for 6th at one point. And then Jason shot a 77 on Saturday and put himself in a really crappy position. He wound up finishing top 20.
Wingfoot can get you.
Oh, that's of course. That's miserable.
As Brian Tolnar put it, it's sadistic.
That's a miserable course. If a guy who makes a living shoots 8 over for the tournament and only one person shot under par in the entire field on that course, that's a sadistic course. I mean, can you imagine a hacker going into that course and saying, "Oh yeah, let me play back where the PGA tees were"? What do you have, a death wish? Why the hell would you do something? What are you hoping that someone takes a whip and starts pounding you with it? What is wrong with you? I can only see what my scores would be. Yeah, I shot a 100. Now I got to go to the back 9 here. There's no. You couldn't pay me enough money to do that. That's it. That would be embarrassing.
That'd be the end of your golf career.
My golf career is terrible to begin with. There's no way I would go back tees on that course.
It was. I mean, the fairways were narrow. The pin placements were just brutal. He was right. The USGA it was sadistic is the best word to put it. And then I liked how he said the last 5 holes were throw punch after throw punch.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of.
Yeah, it's just better dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Otherwise, you're gonna get hammered by all of this. So yeah, congratulations, Bryson DeChambeau. Somebody give him a steroid test though too, because he's a little too big. I'm just saying. I'm not stating that he is.
Whoa.
Breaking
news.
I just think that I'd like to see proof that he's not. I'm just saying.
Let the guy have his win.
Of course he deserves the win. I'm just saying the guy's huge. I want to know, is this natural or not?
How long did it take you to try to get suspicious of Barry Bonds? Just wondering, because you're pretty suspicious of DeChambeau right off the bat.
Oh, please.
So,
The spring training, when I saw that his head was 5 times the size, I was like, no, this isn't.
Wait.
Yeah, this isn't happening here. This was one of those. Yeah. No. You're not going to be able to fool me with this one. Your head's 2.5 times the size that it was, and now you got muscles on top of muscles. No. We know crap when we see it. It didn't take long.
Right.
It didn't take long to figure that one out. So, but it's not like DeChambeau was ever a skinny twig. I think he's always been a big boy. So maybe this was just, he's been chunky and big, and now he decided to, put all the pieces together and have no body fat.
Not chunky. It's all. He's built. He's
Yeah.
big and built. I don't think there's any chunk in his.
Well,
body.
he went from he went from big to tank. So yeah, so it's maybe it's all natural. Hopefully it is. All I know is that kid is ripped.
Frank
I mean,
the
he
Tank.
is a big boy.
But Tiger kind of, leveled the field for that to be okay because remember
Absolutely.
Remember before golfers, it was like taboo to be
Sure.
ripped as a golfer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now all of a sudden you see these golfers and they're strong.
Yeah.
They got the body and it's like
Yeah.
that used to be kind of.
The problem-
you can't have a good swing if you're muscular.
Yeah, the problem with that, though,
Tiger into
is
that.
I want to see how many guys pull their oblique or develop back problems, because Tiger started developing back and knee problems because of how much torque he was putting on his swing.
So I think you got to balance. Do you want a big career for a short amount of time, or do you want to lengthen and be able to golf when you're at a high level when you're 45?
That's about the $5 million question that DeChambeau is going to be asking himself after winning the U.S. Open. So there you go. Power Hour is coming up next. We will talk tomorrow, noon to 3. It is a Running Point. Monday, it'll be a Tuesday edition of Running Point. Have a great rest of the afternoon. We'll talk tomorrow.